Hey truckers, today we're seeing part 3 of From Enemies to Lovers, a hidden marriage story. Let's dive into the video. Hearing this, Ningxi immediately pushed the embarrassment to the back of her mind. Done? All of it? Lu Tingxiao nodded and signaled for her to take a look herself. At first, Ningxi was worried that she wouldn't understand what she was seeing, but then she realized that Lu Tingxiao was showing her the results straight away without going through all the complicated processes. The IP address of the sender showed that the email had been sent from the apartment that Ning Xuelua was staying in, Regal Riveria, and that the anonymous foreign account belonged to Cui Kaijing, Ning Xuelua's assistant. I thought this kind of hacking only existed in TV shows. Especially for anonymous accounts, they have high levels of security, so you need to hack into the bank system in order to break it. It's almost an impossible mission. Ningxi was so excited she couldn't speak for a long while. At last, she hugged Lu Tingxiao. Lord Boss! You are absolutely brilliant. Lu Tingxiao. In that moment, Lu Tingxiao realized that he was now facing a problem. Even if Ningxi did completely trust him now, she trusted him a little too much, to the point of forgetting the fact that he was a man. To put it simply, she treated him like a good teacher and friend, even like a father, but didn't see him as a man. This was really a headache. But it was also a good sign. The moment he had been waiting for was quickly approaching. What are you going to do with this evidence? Lu Tingxiao asked after sorting out his emotions. There's no rush in making it public yet. I'll let Ning Xuelua continue making a fuss. The larger the fuss she makes, the worse it'll hit her when the time comes. I'm going to do what? Lu Tingxiao, can you help me? Why do I suddenly feel like the floor's spinning? At the word spinning, Ningxi blacked out, and she fell to the floor with a hard thump. Lu Tingxiao's face changed abruptly, and he quickly picked her up. The soft body in his arms was burning up like a fireball. He felt her forehead, as expected, it was hot to the touch. He had noticed it a bit earlier, but had thought the heat was just his imagination. He never expected that she would really be sick. With the person in his arms, Lu Tingxiao ran downstairs. Uncle Yuan. Get the car! The old butler was alarmed to see what was happening. What is wrong with Miss Xiaoxi? I don't know. Lu Tingxiao's ice mask, which hadn't changed for 1,000 years, fractured. He didn't know. He didn't know whether it was a leftover effect of the drug or if it was just a fever, or maybe Zhu Xiangqing had given her something? In that moment, Lu Tingxiao was drowning in self-recrimination. He should have taken her to the hospital for a checkup in the first hour. Not only hadn't he done so, he had dragged the time out for so long, and made her exhausted from running up and down. His chapter is up.d by nvel, bin.co/m. So much had happened this time, and she was under such immense pressure, he was afraid that she had now finally reached the limits of her endurance. Eldest young master, don't worry too much, it looks like Miss Xiaoxi just has a fever. How about we call the family doctor to come and take a look at her? In that moment, Lu Tingxiao was already deaf to anything anyone could say, and when the driver came around with the car, he immediately got in with the person in his arms. To the hospital! Then he said to the butler outside the car, tell Qin Mufeng to come, too. Yes. The butler was helpless to do anything but obey. If he still had the slightest uncertainty, seeing eldest young master's expression in that moment swept it all away. This girl was most likely their future eldest young mistress. When the butler made a call to Qin Mufeng, he was at the bar. Lu Jingli had pulled him into a conversation to gossip. Once they heard that Ningxi had suddenly fainted, the pair rushed over to the hospital. At the First People's Republic Hospital in the capital, in the VIP ward on the top floor. Once Qin Mufeng and Lu Jingli arrived, they saw a sickly pale Ningxi lying on the hospital bed, her arm hooked up to N4. Sitting in a chair beside her was Lu Tingxiao, his face heavy with worry and his expression overcast. Lu Jingli and Qin Mufeng gazed at each other and realized they were both frightened by Lu Tingxiao's expression. At this moment, a nurse carrying medication came over, and Lu Jingli hurriedly pulled her aside to ask, "How's the condition of the patient? What's wrong with her? Is it serious?" "The patient has a fever of 39.60 C, the nurse replied. "Oh, a fever, what? She has a fever?" Lu Jingli appeared confused. "Are you sure it's a fever? Only a fever?" "Yes, we've already done a full body check. There's no other issue, so you can all rest easy." "Just now, the mister inside the patient's room has already asked multiple times," the nurse said, not appearing the least annoyed because, whether it was the one inside or the two standing outside the door, they were all too handsome. Even if they asked her 100 times, she would always be willing to answer. Lu Jingli weakly held onto the door frame for support, feeling his heart that's still beating heavily in his chest. "Dear brother, are you trying to scare me to death? She only has a fever, so what are you doing looking like you have some incurable disease?" Qin Mufeng, who stood beside him, also appeared helpless. "You even called me to come here. Although I am a doctor, I'm a psychiatrist." Lu Tingxiao focused his gaze and glanced coldly at Qin Mufeng. "Right now, Ningxi has already replaced you, so perhaps I should save on some expenses." In other words, he would be fired. The sum that he spent on Qin Mufeng was not a small amount. "Cough, don't. Actually, I have plenty of other uses. I know an extremely famous nutritionist at this hospital. I will go and personally request that he help nurse Ningxi back to health." Qin Mufeng did indeed have a slightly guilty conscience. Ever since Ningxi had appeared, he had a lot more free time. Whether it was Little Treasure or Lu Tingxiao, neither of them required his assistance much anymore. Even the weekly therapy sessions had stopped. After Qin Mufeng left, Lu Jingli saw that Lu Tingxiao had lowered his head and was looking down at his cell phone. He couldn't help but ask, "Brother, what are you looking at?" Since when had his brother become an internet-obsessed youth? As a result, once he went closer to take a look, he was shocked. His brother had actually transferred the footage from the secret video into his phone. "Sheet! Brother, what are you doing looking at this for?" Xiao Shishi looked so frightening that when I first saw it, I had goosebumps. I couldn't even tell she was acting, it was so real. Lu Jingli said as he shivered. But right now, his brother was actually watching intently with an "oh my wife is really cute" expression on his face. The source of this content n/o/v/l/n. Man, there really was no hope for him anymore. But you two really couldn't be any more alike, even your ways of thinking are the same. You're both equally simple and violent. Cough cough, you're really a family. Lu Jingli lamented. Lu Tingxiao lightly touched the face of the girl on the bed, his expression full of extreme pride. To avoid being blinded by this sight, Lu Jingli could only helplessly turn his head. "Have you already discovered the other party's identity? Are we going to follow up with a public announcement online to clear Xiao Shishi's name? Should I start working?" Coldness flashed through Lu Tingxiao's gaze. "No rush." Lu Jingli rubbed his chin. "True, after all, she has us as her backup, so she can make some more noise. Then things will be even more fun." "Prepare a contract for Ningxi," Lu Tingxiao replied. A flash of light flickered in Lu Jingli's eyes. "Contract? Brother, are you finally preparing to pull sister-in-law over to Glory World? Prepare a copy of all the profiles of all the managers working at Glory World for me. This statement indirectly answered Lu Jingli's question. I got it. You want to personally help Xiao Shishi pick a manager, right? Really, if you treated me 1,000th of how you treat Xiao Shishi, I'd be satisfied. Lu Jingli sourly whined. Lu Tingxiao shot a glance at him and suddenly reached out his hand. Lu Jingli thought that he was about to hit him and instinctively dodged. Did I say something wrong again? In the end, Lu Tingxiao had only reached out his hand to pat him on the back of his neck. To him, it was already considered a very intimate action. Lu Jingli was so surprised, he was practically ready for heaven. His ears were slightly red. Brother, what are you doing? Lu Tingxiao furrowed his brow as he looked at him, but his tone was gentle as he said, don't only focus on playing around. Work hard and find a person whom you would like to spend the rest of your days with. Lu Jingli appeared distraught, and he sucked in a deep breath. Oh my God! You scared me to death. Brother, you suddenly treating me so gently like this is even more horrifying than you beating me up. Later on, I will focus on helping you with your marriage, Lu Tingxiao said. 7 sit n c/m for L test vels. What? Don't. Brother, you should just continue to let me be free. Please let me be free. I won't ever mess with you again. Please just continue to be cold again. Lu Jingli was so scared, he nearly pissed himself. What if his brother picked a woman as frightening as him? What would he do then? If he picked one that was exactly like Xiao Shishi, he definitely wouldn't be able to take it. He didn't have such heavy tastes. He liked women who were more gentle. At this moment, Lu Jingli suddenly had a flash of brilliance. Brother, this kind of thing isn't for men to worry about. You should focus on sister-in-law and then let sister-in-law introduce someone to me, right? My sister-in-law's eyesight must be really good. Hearing this, Lu Tingxiao thought for a while. All right. Lu Jingli patted himself on his chest, finally letting loose a breath. That had been a very narrow escape from death. Before, he had switched girlfriends very quickly, but it was now over half a year since he last dated. Even he didn't know why, but he felt that it was becoming increasingly meaningless. At the moment, he really didn't want to have a girlfriend. Especially after seeing his brother with Ningxi, he further realized that his previous relationships had been completely shallow. Fine, he'd admit it. He was jealous. He was jealous that even though his brother had had to wait 32 years, he had finally met his true love. Meanwhile, he himself didn't know if he could wait until that day. The more Lu Jingli thought about it, the more sorrowful he felt, so he decided not to torture himself any longer. Brother, if there's nothing else, then I'll be leaving first. The things you wanted, I will quickly prepare and send them over to you. Bye. Ningxi's slumber lasted until late into the second day. When she finally opened her eyes, her body felt light, as if it was floating. Her state of mind was one of confusion, as though a lifetime had already passed. When Lu Tingxiao pushed open the door to enter the room, he saw a girl wearing loose-fitting hospital clothes under the sunlight from the window. She appeared to have just woken up, and was sitting absent-mindedly on the plain white hospital bed. Her expression was wooden and blank, and anyone who saw it would feel their heart hurt and make them helplessly want to embrace her. You're awake. Lu Tingxiao was afraid of scaring and disturbing her, so he lightly walked over and brushed his palm gently over her messy hair. Lu Tingxiao. Ningxi was slow to look at him. Yes, how does your body feel? Ningxi appeared dazed. Is this the hospital? What happened to me? Most up-to-date NVELs are published on n0velg.n.co/m. You fainted last night because of a 39 OC high fever. Recalling that moment yesterday when she had suddenly fainted caused Lu Tingxiao's expression to darken. Ningxi shook her head. I had a fever? Why does my body feel so light, like I don't have any strength? You must be hungry. You slept for nearly a whole day and night, Lu Tingxiao said as he helped her unfold the meal table on her bed. Then he placed a pillow behind her back. I assumed you would be up soon, so I bought dinner for you just now. Thanks. Ningxi looked at the busy man before her. She pressed her lips together and couldn't resist extending one hand to touch his chin. The warmth of her fingertips caused Lu Tingxiao to freeze, and he looked at the girl, whose gaze was incomparably warm. Yes? What is it? Ningxi furrowed her brow as she looked at his worn-out appearance and the stubble above and below his mouth. Did you take care of me all night? All your stubble has grown out. It's all right. I did sleep for a while. In reality, he hadn't rested his eyes for even a minute, nor had he been in the mood to wash his face or rinse his mouth. Only when she woke up was he able to relax. Eat your dinner. Since you can't have anything too fattening right now, there's only plain congee. Wait until you're better, then I'll buy you something tasty. Lu Tingxiao placed the bowl of congee and spoon into her hands. Do you have the strength to eat? Do you need my help? Ningxi didn't say a word, and she also didn't move. Lu Tingxiao raised his head suspiciously to look at her. What is it? Are you feeling uncomfortable somewhere on your body? I'll go call the doctor. Ningxi quickly pulled him back. I'm fine. I'm just not completely awake, so I'm a bit out of it. Lu Tingxiao let out a breath of relief. Right now, what you need the most is rest, so don't think too much. Ningxi nodded her head before diving into her bowl of congee. But she still did not appear to be in good condition, and looked only half-conscious. Lu Tingxiao treated her so nicely, she almost felt terrified. It was not as though she was dense, but from the beginning, the way he treated her had always been like this. She had continuously overlooked it until she had gradually become accustomed to it. Everything which the man before her had done, was it all simply to repay a debt of gratitude? Even if he saw her as just a friend, would a friend do so much to this extent? Because her mind had been filled with too many messy things she had had to deal with, in the end she only thought of this fleetingly. After eating dinner, Ningxi finally felt that she had recovered some of her spirit. She quickly shifted through all the complicated thoughts inside her brain and began dealing with the important issues. Lu Tingxiao, is my phone here? Lu Tingxiao did not look pleased. I just said you need to rest well. Ningxi clasped her hands together. I've rested enough after sleeping for so long. Also, I'm full from eating. If you don't let me do something, I'll start rotting. Lu Tingxiao saw that she did look a lot better and couldn't resist her pleading gaze, so he ended up handing the phone over to her. Afterwards, he brought the thermometer over. Let's take your temperature. Ningxi obediently opened her mouth for the thermometer and then immediately went on the internet to go through the entertainment news. The World's production team performs beyond the realm of conscience, vicious beauty climbing up using unorthodox methods. Ning Xuelua wounded, an accident or attempted murder? Starlight Entertainment publicly announces decision to firmly boycott unfair competition, protecting the lives and safety of artistes. Ning Xuelua's office sends out a lawyer's letter, Ningxi's sudden disappearance, no reply until now. After that, Ningxi opened Weibo, only to see a page full of cursing. It was even several times worse than that time with Jia Qingqing, but after all, compared to Jia Qingqing, Ning Xuelua was much more popular. Her fans' battle power was much more powerful. That slut Ning she keeps hiding and won't appear, so she must be guilty. She must have seen that she'd been exposed, so she ran off, right? After all, she's already attempted murder. If they were to go to court, she would definitely have to go to jail. To be vilified once is just others being jealous, but she's been in the same situation so many times, so it must be her character that's the problem. This time, she was even caught in the act. Xuelua has such a good reputation in the entertainment industry, and she has even supported this junior sister so many times. Who would have thought that she would actually return kindness with enmity, like a Schweinhund? It's because of people like her that the entertainment circle's trends are getting worse. Don't you guys feel that this might have been Ning Shi's scheme from the start? She gets rid of Jia Qingqing first so that she can secure the role of the second female lead, and then hurts Ning Xuelua to get the role of leading actress. That's so terrifying. I'm so scared. As expected, a beautiful woman is not a good thing. Lu Tingxiao glanced at her cell phone out of the corner of his eye, and knit his brows after seeing the vicious comments. Don't look anymore. Ning Shi was sitting cross-legged, the thermometer between her lips as she replied unintelligibly, "It's nothing. Seeing these is actually really fun. Measure it properly, don't speak. You're the one who made me speak." Having finally finished measuring, Lu Tingxiao looked at the thermometer. 37.10 C. Ning Shi was immediately pleased as she said, "I said I was all right. Actually, my body is really healthy. So can I leave the hospital now? You still need to be hospitalized for a few days for observation." "Aw. I still have to be hospitalized? But I really miss darling little White." Ning Shi decisively chose to bring up little treasure. "He's already on his way here," Lu Tingxiao said in a tone which left no room for discussion. "Ah, okay." Ning Shi finally had nothing more to say. Lu Tingxiao tidied up and put the meal table away, then sat in the chair beside the bed. "What do you plan to do now?" Ning Shi immediately remembered something. "I actually was about to tell you about it. Can you send a copy of the evidence to my phone? I need to prepare to first send it to a person." Lu Tingxiao glanced at her. Zhang Cheng? Ning Shi was already used to Lu Tingxiao's quick intelligence, but she still couldn't help but admire him. "You truly deserve to be called Lord Boss. You're so quick-witted." "I'm preparing to make Zhang Cheng fight his own allies by using the evidence to blackmail Ning Xuelua." After Ning Shi excitedly finished saying her piece, she immediately coughed and anxiously looked at Lu Tingxiao. "Doing this, would I be too vicious?" Lu Tingxiao didn't reply, and after some consideration, he said, "The main issue is that this doesn't bring you any benefits, and you're really letting Zhang Cheng off easy." Ning Shi scratched her head. "What you said is not wrong, but my main priority is to cause trouble for Ning Xuelua. I didn't really think about anything else." Read lat.stchers on n/v/l/b.i.cm. Lu Tingxiao thought for a moment and then said, "Instead of letting Zhang Cheng gain profit, why don't you do it yourself?" When Ning Shi heard this, her eyes bulged out in surprise. Would this work? Why not?" Lu Tingxiao countered, and then continued to elaborate. "Based on Ning Xuelua's capability, you should be able to extort about 8 million from her. This is your best opportunity to dissolve your contract with Starlight Entertainment. You can use the money to pay the penalty fee." Ning Shi was utterly speechless after hearing Lu Tingxiao's words. At the most, she had only wanted to incite other people, but the big demon king was truly excellent. Not only did he not admonish her actions, he even taught her how to be even worse. Schweinhund is German for pig dog and is considered an extremely offensive insult. However, this maneuver was so perfect. The only issue was that extortion, this kind of thing, if one were to personally go and do it, the conscience wouldn't easily allow it. Read lat stchpters on n/v/l/b/i.cm. Ningxi bit her lip as she remembered everything that had happened that night, and she laughed coldly inside her heart. Ah, what conscience, they had even gone to that extent. Ningxi quickly made up her mind. All right, send it to me. I'll contact Ningxuelua. No need, I'll help you. That way, no one can track down your IP address, Lu Tingxiao said. At this moment, in Ningxi's view, Lu Tingxiao was no different from a god. Her eyes glimmered as she said, God Lu, I've realized your abilities are too heaven-defying. Do you accept disciples? Seeing the girl's worshipful gaze elevated Lu Tingxiao's mood a lot. He glanced at her. I don't accept. Ningxi immediately appeared disappointed. Ah. As expected, he wasn't accepting any. Big Boss Lu had so many things to take care of, so how could he possibly accept any disciples? Lu Tingxiao continued to gaze deeply at her. If you want my level of capability, there's an even faster method. What is it? What is it? Ningxi instantly perked up as she asked. Lu Tingxiao, marry me. If she married him, everything that was his would also be hers. What else would she still need to learn? Cough, cough, cough. Ningxi nearly choked on her own saliva. This method, you really couldn't say he was wrong. It was just that, did she just get hit on again? Lu Tingxiao admired the girl's embarrassed expression, before asking, have you thought about which company you want to join after you dissolve your contract? Ningxi rubbed her chin. I'm still thinking it over. Lu Tingxiao was undeterred as he continued. After you've cleared your name, your popularity should be on par with first and second tier artistes. It'll be much easier to find a company then. Ningxi sighed. It's actually very troublesome. Small companies aren't very competitive and don't offer a good future, while big companies will be hard to get into because of my lack of background. I might appear very well known, but most of my fame comes from bad press. I don't have even one finished work, so my position is pretty awkward. Teacher Lu, do you have any ideas? Regarding such an important decision, Ningxi had already intended to ask Lu Tingxiao for advice. Lu Tingxiao poured a cup of water for her before replying, from my perspective as a businessman, you are a very explosive stock full of rising potential. I believe you will prove your worth in the future. Therefore, I naturally hope you will join Glory World. Ningxi speechlessly widened her eyes in disbelief, and was frozen for a while before coming back to her senses. Is Lord Boss trying to personally poach me right now? Lu Tingxiao slightly smiled. What you said is not wrong. I really do want to poach you. So, will you come? Damn it! This manner of speaking was foul play. Ningxi gulped while calming her heart, and then seriously replied, to be direct and honest, if this time I am able to smoothly leave Starlight Entertainment, the company I most want to join is Glory World. Today, Glory World has already surpassed Starlight Entertainment and has indisputably become the best entertainment company in this industry, with the best future prospects. Lu Tingxiao appeared very pleased and nodded. Then he extended his hand towards her. Then let's have a pleasant cooperation. Ah. Ningxi subconsciously extended her hand. Let's have a pleasant cooperation. What was this situation? Just like that they were going to happily work together? Just like that she had come to an agreement with Glory World? The Great Demon King was so efficient even in poaching people. So our cooperation is considered confirmed? Ningxi was still a little dumbfounded. I think highly of you, while you already have your heart set on Glory World? Our feelings are mutual, so is there an issue? Lu Tingxiao replied with a question. Our feelings are mutual, this phrase could even be used like this. Ningxi felt that she could trouble anyone in the world except Lu Tingxiao, which was why she asked in an extremely solemn tone, "You don't need to think things over again?" I feel that I'm rather troublesome, and if by chance, I bring trouble to you. If you could handle everything so well on your own, then what would you still need a management company for? That's the purpose of my existence. Oh. Ningxi rubbed her nose. Anyway, she had already noticed that the Great Demon King normally said very little, but when he did speak, each word was a gem. She could not win against him. Ningxi thought carefully for a moment. Up until now, Starlight had wronged her so many times, so it would be considered normal for her to suggest dissolving their contract. She wouldn't be creating any reason for gossip, and even her termination fee would be taken care of. Clearing her name was only a small issue, so it shouldn't particularly trouble Lu Tingxiao. Thinking of it like this, she finally relaxed. Lord Boss, to repay your kindness, from now on I will work hard to earn money for you. I won't disappoint you. Ningxi immediately expressed her heartfelt sincerity. At the very least, she was very confident in her own capability. Lu Tingxiao smiled. Yes, I look forward to it. At this moment, Ningxi's cell phone suddenly rang. The display name was Evil Fairy King. Jiang Mai had called countless times, but because she had been too busy and had suddenly fallen ill, she had never managed to pick up his calls. Ningxi didn't hide it from Lu Tingxiao, and directly answered, "Hello, Jiang." Not waiting for her to speak, a roar so loud that her eardrums almost exploded came from the phone. Ning Xiaoxi, where in hell have you roamed off to? Do you know that you're being badmouthed by everyone? He went to the Lu residence once to find her, but the butler had informed him that she wasn't there, and neither was Lu Tingxiao. That day happened to be her birthday, and with the two of them missing, how could he not overthink it? Ningxi wordlessly pulled at her ear. What do you mean roam? I'm currently in the hospital. Jiang Mai froze when he heard this, and his voice immediately became frantic and nervous. What? In the hospital? Are you okay? Don't tell me you got beaten up. Ningxi curled her lips. You're the one who was beaten up. It's just a fever. Which hospital are you at? I'll come see you right now. No need, you're so busy. You should just worry about the stuff at home first. My fever has already gone down, and Lu Tingxiao is here, not to mention, Little Treasure will be coming soon. The cell phone suddenly went silent for a few seconds, and then Jiang Mai spoke in a somber tone. Ningxi, have you seen the email I sent you yet? Not yet, I haven't had the time. Ever since the day before yesterday, I haven't been able to take a break from all the problems. In short, there's too much to talk about. I'll tell you everything later when I have the time. Jiang Mai took a deep breath. Just remember to take a quick look. Also, let me ask you, what are you going to do about Ning Xuelua? Originally, I was prepared to help you deal with Zhang Chang, that bastard, but in the end, when I sent someone over to stop him, his place was already empty. Because you belong to Starlight Entertainment, I can't use my company's public relations department, so I've discussed with Brother Ming and personally contacted a reliable public relations team. When Ningxi heard this, she gratefully replied, Thank you Jiang Mai, but there's no need. I've found evidence to clear my name. Jiang Mai ground his teeth. Was it Lu Tingxiao again? I got it myself, all right? But after that, Lu Tingxiao did help me a lot. Got it, as long as you're okay. I'm hanging up. Remember to check the email I sent you. Taking into consideration that she was still sick, Jiang Mai suppressed his anger with effort. He wasn't in the mood to ask how Lu Tingxiao had swept in like a hero to rescue her, and simply ended the call forcefully. Damn it! If Lu Tingxiao hadn't used dirty tricks to stall him, right now he should be the one standing by her side and helping her through this crisis. Shameless, he was too shameless. Jiang Mai called? Lu Tingxiao asked casually. Yes, he asked me if I needed help. And he also said he emailed me. I don't know what it is, but he kept reminding me to take a look. He was all mysterious about it. I'm guessing it must be some kind of trick birthday gift. He did the same thing last year and sent me an especially scary video. I was so angry I beat him up 3 times before I was satisfied. Ningxi grumbled to herself and wasn't in a hurry to read the email. She continued scrolling through her texts and missed calls to see if there were any she needed to reply to. The missed calls were mostly unknown numbers, which would definitely be from the media and press. As she scrolled down, she saw a name. The call had been made on her birthday. Seeing the 2 characters, Ningxi's indifferent expression turned warm and soft. I thought he forgot my birthday. Who? Lu Tingxiao tensed unconsciously. My little brother, Tang Nuo. Lu Tingxiao nodded and secretly breathed a sigh of relief. He was already jittery at the thought that it could be yet another ex-boyfriend. Top VL updates on n/o/v/lb/in.com. Ningxi called back immediately. Hi, Xiao Nuo. Sis, you finally returned my call. How are you? Is everything all right? Did those people give you a hard time? I saw it in a newspaper article. Don't worry, I'm fine. But that woman said she was going to sue you. Your sister is not someone to be trifled with. We'll see who gets sued in the end. Are you really okay? I'm really all right. If you keep worrying about me, I'm going to suspect that you're not 17, but 70 years old instead. Saying this, Ningxi paused. But do you really trust me that much? Maybe I really did lose my mind and stabbed Ningxuelua on purpose? On the other end of the phone, the young man's voice was clear and bright. Who would I trust if not my own sister? At these words, warmth spread in Ningxi's heart. You brat, you're good with words. I'll stop worrying now that I know you're okay. Ah, that's right, I still haven't wished you happy birthday, but it's past already. No big deal, saying it now is the same. Thank you, my dear handsome, thoughtful little brother. Don't be so sappy. I won't talk to you anymore, school's going to start soon, I need to catch up on my holiday homework. Go, go! Fighting, young man. After the call, Ningxi's mood was instantly sunny. Seeing her good mood, Lu Tingxiao's own mood was also lifted. The 2 of you are very close? That's right. Even though we're not related by blood, we're very close. My grandmother favored boys over girls when I was little, right? Back then, only Xiao Nuo got to eat all the good food at home. I couldn't even eat at the table, but Xiao Nuo would always hide some food away for me. And every time grandmother found fault with me, he would always come out to protect me. He's such a good brother. Saying this, Ningxi felt a little downcast. Isn't it strange? My own blood treats me like the enemy, while the one I have no blood relations with is my family. I should have known from the start, interests always outweigh family in that circle. Lu Tingxiao gently patted the cute little hair bun on top of the girl's sad, drooping head. You'll find better. Every time he heard her speak about her childhood, he couldn't help wanting to love her a little more, to dote on her a little more, to give her back double of everything that she had lost. Follow uStories at n/v/e/lb/in.com. Ningxi finished going through her calls record and had moved on to her messages when she was taken aback by one in particular. Dearest, I really underestimated your courage. Sender, YS. What did this guy mean by sending her such a statement out of nowhere? What did she do? Lu Tingxiao had deleted the call log, so Ningxi naturally didn't know about the call between the two men that night. What is it? Lu Tingxiao asked, seeing something was off about her appearance. Nothing. Ningxi just assumed that person was acting crazy and paid it no mind. She put her phone down and asked, when is little treasure coming? He should be arriving soon. Hearing that, Ningxi immediately fixed her hair subconsciously. Where's the hair clip little treasure gave me? Here, I put it away for you. Lu Tingxiao opened the bedside table drawer, took the pink hair clip out, and passed it to her. Ningxi immediately clipped it back unhappily. Seeing the hair clip in Ningxi's hair, Lu Tingxiao felt a little regret. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have given her a gun. If he had given something like a necklace, bracelet, or earrings, she could at least wear it on her. Actually, he had already prepared a gift a long time ago, a ring. Unfortunately, it still wasn't the right time to give it to her. As the two of them were speaking, there was a knock on the door. Ningxi rolled out of bed to open the door, and sure enough, little treasure had arrived. Darling, you're here. After little treasure entered, he used his little hand to pull urgently on her clothes, as if he wanted her to bend a little. What's wrong? Ningxi crouched down. Little treasure immediately bumped his little head into Ningxi's forehead with a serious face. Ningxi couldn't help laughing aloud. Heh, darling, are you taking my temperature? Don't worry, I just measured it, and the fever's already gone. Little treasure's face was still full of worry, and his heart hurt to look at the bruises on the back of her hand from the foredrip. Ningxi embraced the little guy in her arms and patted him comfortingly. Don't frown, Auntie is all healthy now after seeing you. Little treasure was a miracle cure. She really wanted to steal him home. Want to take a walk? Lu Tingxiao suggested. Yes, yes. After sleeping for a whole day, Ningxi was ready to move about, and it also wasn't good to make little treasure accompany her in the ward either. On their way to the elevator, the three of them passed a ward which had a horde of reporters crowded noisily around its entrance with their cameras, all of them trying to interview the woman in the room. Xuelua, have you gotten in touch with Ningxi yet? Not yet, I haven't heard anything about her. Ningxi fled to avoid being punished. What do you have to say about this? What do you plan to do next? I don't know. Until now I still can't believe she could do such a thing. We've heard that Ning International and Starlight Entertainment have already withdrawn their investments in protest. Is that true? Has there been any reply from the production team? Will they replace Ningxi? I'm not sure about this. You can ask the representative for the production team. If Ningxi apologized to you, would you forgive her? If she really meant it with her heart, I could personally forgive her for this confusion, but the negative impact which she has had on the entertainment industry cannot be fixed with an apology, and I also wouldn't be in a position to forgive her for that. Ningxi couldn't help raising an eyebrow at Ning Xuelua's White Lotus drama, and it was only at that moment that she realized that she was in the same hospital and on the same floor as Ning Xuelua. At this moment, one of the reporters noticed Ningxi standing by the elevator opposite the ward, and immediately shouted, Ningxi. White Lotus here refers to Ning Xuelua pretending to be vulnerable and innocent. Ningxi? Where? Ningxi's here? No way. She actually dared to show up? There, over there. Full 0W current novels on n/o/v/3l/b in.co/m All the reporters turned to look in unison, and one after another lifted their cameras, ready to shoot the latest news. Ningxi frowned. She didn't care about herself, but her first reaction was to protect Little Bun and to not let anyone scare him. But before she could hug Little Bun, a large palm had pressed her head forward so that she was enveloped in warm arms, and one of her hands was gripped tightly by Little Bun's soft little hand, almost as if he was telling her to not be afraid. As for those reporters, they all stopped 10 steps away. Two huge men in black and wearing sunglasses appeared out of nowhere. Their expressions were fiendish, and like door gods, they blocked the path. "Hey, who are you people? Get out of the way. Good dogs don't get in the way." All the reporter was thinking about was grabbing a headline, and he spoke without thinking. But there was also a smart one in the crowd, and he pulled the guy who had spoken to a stop, his face full of fear as if he had seen something extremely frightening. "Are you out of your mind? Those are bodyguards for the Liu family." Liu family? You're not saying that Liu family, are you? No kidding. How many Liu families are there in the capital? But how do you know? It's not like they have letters carved on their faces. Are you a moron? Didn't you see the emblem on their clothes? After being reminded, everyone retreated 3 steps, and those who had acted rudely apologized non-stop, their faces full of terror. "These two big brothers, we're sorry. We didn't recognize who you were. Please don't hold this against us." Holy shit! These were the personal bodyguards for the Liu family? Then who were the 3 behind them? The reporters wanted to figure out the situation, but as soon as they carefully extended their gazes, they were all scared into retreating back, their faces drained of color. The tall, strong man who held the girl in his arms had a face as cold as frost, like a god. But his eyes were so severe, and his aura too oppressive. The more experienced reporters were the ones who were the best at reading people, and they instantly understood that this was not a man to be trifled with. At the same time, when they settled down, they felt that something wasn't right. "What, Ningxi, you saw wrong? That's a family of 3. How can that woman possibly be Ningxi?" "Exactly. Did you go crazy with wanting that headline too much? Everyone looks like Ningxi to you. One look at this person and you know he's not someone to be trifled with. You want to get us all killed?" One by one, the reporters started to grumble at the person who had first shouted. I probably saw wrong, but she really looks similar. You guys also got confused at the beginning, didn't you?" "Similar my butt. That Ningxi is a poisonous snake, but you can tell this miss is a good wife and loving mother. She has a noble and refined temperament. How are they alike?" "Exactly. So gentle and so cute. How could she be Ningxi, that wicked bee *tch? By now, the elevator had arrived with a ding. Even after the 3 of them had disappeared in the elevator, the reporters were still sighing. "Ayaya, did you see that little boy just now? He was so beautiful. He looked like an exact copy of that man. You can tell with one look that they're father and son. Who on earth is he in the Liu family? His aura was so scary. I keep thinking that man looks a little familiar. Why do I feel that? He looked a little like the god of fortune." "Shut up, he really did look like him." "Then that little boy, don't tell me that was the legendary little prince?" This guess was instantly like a tossed stone stirring up 1,000 ripples. "How is that possible? Liu Tingxiao is single, all right? He has a son, but he definitely does not have a woman by his side. If it really was him, then that was really big news. Tut tut tut. No matter how big it is, so what? Would you dare report it? Did you forget how VIO magazine crashed and burned back then?" Of course I remember. It was because they secretly took a picture of Liu Tingxiao, and even dared to publish it. At this point, everyone gave up on this juicy piece of news, and hands that had been quick to take photos were now shaking as they started to delete all of them. Find PT Tez on n/VLN.cm. Lu Tingxiao was famous for being low-key in the circle, and he refused to do any media interview. The little prince was protected even more tightly. Although they were very curious about today's circumstances as well as about that woman's identity, no media outlet would dare touch that lethal headline. In the elevator, Ningxi tilted her head in Lu Tingxiao's arms. She looked at Big Bun, and then at Little Bun, with mixed feelings. So this was how it felt to be protected by someone. Are you all right? I'll get you moved to another hospital. Lu Tingxiao's face was still a little dark. He had come here in a hurry, and had also only just realized this unpleasant coincidence. No need for the trouble, I'm okay now, how about we go home? Actually, I really hate being in a hospital. All right. By the way, where did those 2 bodyguards come from? Ningxi asked suspiciously. They are always nearby. Given your particular situation, I had them guard you, just in case. Like when she had been attacked and hurt by fans, he wasn't going to allow something like that to happen a second time. I haven't signed with Glory World yet, and already I can enjoy this type of privilege? Ningxi felt spoiled. As she finished speaking, she suddenly saw herself in the elevator's mirror. Ningxi touched her own face in the mirror. Were those reporters blind? They didn't recognize me even when I was standing in front of them. And they even said, I look like a good wife and loving mother, so fresh, gentle and cute. Clearly the stepmother in Snow White, or the big bad wolf in Little Red Riding Hood is a more suitable description of me. She checked herself in the mirror as she spoke, then realized that she didn't have any makeup on at the moment and was wearing a loose-fitting hospital gown. Her hair was pulled back into a messy braid for convenience sake, and she had on the pink hair clip that Little Treasure had given to her. The expression on her face did appear gentle and refined. Damn it! She really had become a gentle girl. Ningxi was surprised by herself. Had she been like this all along in front of Big Bun and Little Bun? This wasn't like her at all. At this time, after hearing what Ningxi said, Little Bun suddenly took out a pocket-sized notebook and bent his head to scribble in it for a bit, then urgently held it up in front of her. Darling, what are you trying to say? Ningxi took the notebook, and after reading it, she blushed. What is it? By her side, Lu Tingxiao asked the question after seeing the strange expression on Ningxi's face. Ningxi covered her burning cheeks, her eyes full of accusation. It's all your fault, Lu Tingxiao. Look at what your son wrote. What is it? Lu Tingxiao had been unjustly blamed when he was innocent, so he took a look at what Little Treasure had written. After reading it, he was silent. Carefully written in the notebook. You are the brightest star in the sky, your eyes are sweeter than chocolate, whenever I look at you, I see a fairy tale princess who has eternal beauty. After hearing Ningxi's self-deprecating words, Little Treasure had resolutely played his best hand. Ningxi was moved and worried at the same time. Lu Tingxiao, Little Treasure definitely got this from you. He's too good at making girls happy. What is he going to be like when he grows up? I don't dare imagine how much more infatuated I'm going to be when he starts talking. Especially that last sentence, it had hit her straight in her heart. He actually said she was a princess. She had always wanted to be a queen, because only then would she be able to face all her hardships fearlessly. But in front of Little Treasure calling her princess, the little girl which she had been hiding deep inside her was drawn out. There wasn't a girl who didn't want to be a carefree princess, she just hadn't been in a position to choose that option. Lu Tingxiao looked at his own son and felt rueful in his heart. This wasn't a case of genetics anymore, but of the pupil surpassing his master. Seeing little Treasure standing there looking at her with an earnest face, Ningxi gave a soft, helpless laugh and then bent over to hug him. Okay. I understand. I know I'm the most beautiful in your eyes. I won't undervalue myself anymore, okay? Only then was little Treasure satisfied, and copying what she always did as a reward for him, he kissed her gently on the cheek. Ningxi couldn't help squeezing little Bun in a hug again. AI, what am I going to do? I so badly want to steal you away when your dad's not paying attention. Little Treasure blinked and looked very expectant. He nodded approvingly, as if to say, hurry up and steal me away. Ningxi, Pooh. Lu Tingxiao. Why did he feel like he was the third wheel? At the same time, in Ning Xueluo's ward, the reporters could only return to continue interviewing Ning Xueluo when chasing Ningxi hadn't resulted in anything. Everyone was now searching high and low for Ningxi, but she seemed to have vanished off the surface of the earth, without a single trace. The reporters camped out at her apartment, on set, at the company, but all for nothing. If they knew Ningxi had actually been on the same floor as Ning Xueluo in the same hospital, and that they had even encountered her briefly, they might go crazy. Su Yan was worried about Xueluo's health, and interrupted the reporters after a few more questions. I'm sorry, everyone, Xueluo is still recovering from her injury, and her body is weak. This is the end of today's interview. Yes, I'm not feeling so well, sorry everyone. While the reporters were unwilling to go, they could only express understanding and hope for a good recovery, before leaving in unison. Chang Li walked them out politely. Thank you for all your concern towards our Xueluo. I believe that justice is naturally ingrained in a person's heart, and all of you are able to judge fairly. It must have been inconvenient for everyone to come here in such hot weather. This is a small token of gratitude for you. After saying that, the assistant Cui Kaijing started to distribute red packets. The reporters were well aware of the situation, and one after another expressed that they would definitely help Ning Xueluo find justice. In bed, Ning Xueluo had a suspicious look on her face as she thought of something. Brother Yan, what happened with those reporters earlier? Why did all of them suddenly run out? Was it really Ningxi? No, they mistook someone else for her. Su Yan tucked her in. There was a slightly absent-minded look on his face. Those reporters hadn't seen Ningxi in person before, but he was different. When he caught a quick glimpse of that figure, it really had looked like Ningxi, and he was almost sure that it was Ningxi herself. But how could that be possible? Why would Ningxi be so intimate with a man, and furthermore even have a kid with them? Late night, Lu residence. Ningxi had been browsing the entertainment news online for a while, and was ready to go to bed, when a few messages suddenly popped up on MSN. They were from Su Yan. Su Yan, Xiao Shi, where on earth are you now? I saw someone in Xueluo's hospital today, was that you? Su Yan, you really went too far this time. You can't use our guilt towards you against us, we're running out of patience with you. Su Yan, running away won't fix anything, you owe Xueluo an apology. Ningxi scoffed softly, and typed a swift reply, I bought a watch last year. At this moment, someone knocked on the door. Find you chapters on nv/lbi.com. Come in. Lu Tingxiao pushed the door open and walked in with a glass of hot milk in his hand. He frowned to see that she was still on her laptop. Why are you still on the computer? You need rest. I was about to, but I got disgusted at something right before bed, Ningxi grumbled. Lu Tingxiao walked over and handed the milk to her. What happened? Ningxi took the milk and thanked him, and since there was nothing worth hiding, directly showed him the chat history. Lu Tingxiao took one look, and his face darkened. Then he asked suspiciously, I bought a watch last year, what does this mean? Pooh. Hearing Lu Tingxiao say this sentence aloud in such a proper tone, Ningxi almost sprayed milk from her mouth. She explained embarrassedly, cough, cough, this is an online term, it's a classic phrase for swearing at someone. Really? What does it mean? Lu Tingxiao humbly asked. Ningxi had no choice, and could only start to seriously teach him. The abbreviation for I bought a watch last year is WQNMLGB, got it? Lu Tingxiao nodded, having understood instantly. Ningxi sighed in relief. It was a good thing the big demon king was so intelligent, otherwise it would have been really embarrassing for her to have to say F*** your mother's pussy straight out. On his end, Suyen saw Ningxi's reply and instantly sent a slew of agitated messages, the gist of all of them being that a person could still survive if they mended their ways. Adopting an out-of-sight, out-of-mind attitude, Ningxi logged out directly and turned off her laptop. Seeing how Ningxi had decisively given Suyen the cold shoulder, Lu Tingxiao was in a very good mood. I've already contacted Ning Xuelua for you. Really? What did you say? Ningxi asked instantly. Lu Tingxiao took his phone out and opened an email to show her. Ningxi quickly drew closer for a look, and was speechless after viewing it. Apart from the evidence and a bank account number for the money transfer, Lu Tingxiao had sent just a few words, without any punctuation at all, 8 million yuan in 24 hours. This was totally Lu Tingxiao's style. Not bad, not bad, the less you say the more panicked she will be, very nice. Ningxi nodded her head and praised him sagaciously. After you receive the money, you can discuss the termination of your contract with Starlight. When the time comes, I'll arrange for a lawyer to go with you in case they try to deliberately make trouble for you. I've already asked Jingli to prepare the contract with Glory World for you to sign. Tomorrow morning, I'll bring it to you. If there is anything that needs to be amended, we'll discuss it when the time comes. After you've signed the contract, Glory World will hold a press conference for you when the time is right, and we'll release the evidence. After that, we will start taking legal action. Lu Tingxiao's deep voice reverberated like a cello as he calmly told her the plan and arrangements going forward from here. Ningxi was stupefied as she listened, and could only nod from time to time. Then she asked subconsciously, so is there anything else I need to do? Eat, sleep, and get well. Oh. I bought a watch last year is a phrase used in place of F*** your mother's pussy, since the pinyin for both sentences in Chinese gives the same acronym, WQNMLGB. The First People's Republic Hospital in the capital. Ning Xuelua lay comfortably in the hospital bed, a glass of red wine in one hand as she browsed Weibo with the other. Seeing how Ningxi was being cursed at online, she had never been happier. As Cui Kaijing massaged her calf, she said in a flattering tone, Sister Xuelua, your legs are amazing, so long and straight. Actually, they looked only a little better than that of the average person. Every year, she spent millions on maintenance and plastic surgery, how couldn't it look better than legs belonging to the average person? Ning Xuelua liked these types of compliments, and said in a pleased tone, I was born this way. Changli nearby felt a little uneasy for some reason, and said in a worried tone, Xuelua, do you think it's possible that the reason Ningxi hasn't shown up in so long is because she's thinking up ways to get back at us? When Ning Xuelua heard her words, she sneered disdainfully. You think too highly of her. Even if she sleeps with 100 men, there is no way she can turn this situation around. That's true, in the entertainment industry, for an artiste who has such a bad record, the consequences will be no less severe than they were for Jia Qingqing. It'll be useless no matter who tries to clear her reputation. Slowly, Changli relaxed. By the way, I just sent an email to give Ningxi an ultimatum. If she doesn't make an appearance at the company before 6 o'clock tomorrow evening, we'll blacklist her. I don't believe that she won't appear tomorrow. Remember to arrange a few more reporters to wait for her. Ning Xuelua smiled broadly. Full 0W current novels on n/o/v/3l/b in.co/m. She was just about to reply to her fans' concerns about the state of her injury when a new email notification popped up at the top of the screen. Who had sent her an email so late? Furthermore, it was to her private inbox. Ning Xuelua didn't think too much about it as she opened it. But with just one look, she instantly froze up, and the red wine in her hand spilled all over her. Oh my, what's wrong, Sister Xuelua? Chui Kaijing hurriedly grabbed some tissues to clean her up. What's wrong, Xuelua? Chang Li asked suspiciously after seeing how frightened Ning Xuelua looked. See for yourself. With trembling hands, Ning Xuelua threw the cell phone in utter fury at Chui Kaijing's head. How the hell do you do things? You actually made such a big mistake. Why did you send that email from my apartment? And didn't I tell you 1,000 times to use an anonymous account to send the money? Dizzy from being hit, it took Chui Kaijing quite a while to regain her senses. With one hand covering her forehead, she read the email on her phone, and also froze. She said with a panicked expression, Sister Xuelua, you can't blame me for this, I did use an anonymous account. As for the email, you were also there when I sent it, and you didn't say anything at the time. Ning Xuelua threw down the wine glass, and it shattered. Even if I didn't say anything, can't you think for yourself? If you just do everything I tell you to do, then why would I need you at all? After Chang Li read the email, she looked grim. The thing that I was most worried about has actually happened. I was afraid that if someone discovered a weak point, who on earth sent this email? Don't tell me it was Zhang Chang? Ning Xuelua's expression was dark, and she said in a confident tone, impossible. Zhang Chang is just a hoodlum and a scoundrel with just a primary school education. He doesn't know anything about IP addresses and anonymous accounts. Then this is just too strange. In any case, apart from us, only Zhang Chang knows about this matter. He must have been the one to leak the news. Is he conspiring with someone else? But Zhang Chang has long run off, we have no way of asking him. Chang Li said anxiously. Ning Xuelua paced back and forth irritably in the ward. What's the use of spouting all this rubbish? The most important thing now is how are we going to solve this problem? Chang Li calmed down and comforted her. Calm down, Xuelua. The email said that we have 24 hours to send 8 million yuan to that account, so obviously it's about money. Just give them the money. Anything that can be solved with money is not an issue. Ning Xuelua said agitatedly, 8 million yuan. And only a day to get it. Where am I going to get so much money? Although she was made of money, she spent extravagantly. To keep up appearances in order to curry favor with the Ning family and the people in the industry, all of that required money. If we collect it from different sources, we can somehow gather that amount. Chang Li muttered. Privately, she thought that the other party had really quoted the right price, that was just about the maximum amount they could come up with. Just then, Ning Xuelua suddenly thought of something. Since the other party was able to trace our information, why can't we do the same? Chang Li shook her head. Is an anonymous account so easy to trace? We have to hack into the bank's system. Even if we pay someone to do it, we don't have the time to look for a hacker with that type of skill. Besides, even if we find out who it is, then what? They have blackmail material on us. This money, no matter what, we would still have to give it to them. Damn it! Ning Xuelua glared fiercely at Chui Kaijing, who was hiding in a corner. You can't accomplish anything, but can spoil everything. If it wasn't because she had blackmail on the woman and could use her without fear of being betrayed, she would have kicked her out a long time ago. Cui Kaijing wanted to retort, but didn't dare say anything no matter how angry she was. She really was completely innocent, all right. With some effort, Ning Xuelua recovered from her earlier fright and struggled to remain calm as she urged, "Sister Chang, help me go and raise the money now. Hurry! Also, hire more water army to make sure that within a week, there is no longer any room for Ningxi to turn around and clear her name." 7 sit envelb/n. C/m for L test vels. Xuelua, we have Zhang Chang's confession anyway. Do you think, should we just have her thrown in jail once and for all? Chang Li tentatively suggested. No, even if the Ning family don't care for her, they won't go so far as to have her go to prison. Remember, don't let her cancel her contract. It's better that she remains in the company her whole life, otherwise, if she's desperate enough to run back to the Ning family, it'll be harder for me to control her then. Also, in case something unexpected happens tomorrow, I'll arrange a capable lawyer for you. Ning Xuelua racked her brain and gave instructions for every aspect she could think of. Only after she was certain that she had missed nothing did she relax. Everything had been going smoothly, and she had never expected such a huge mess to crop up halfway through. Fortunately, Changli was right, anything that could be solved with money was not an issue. For what was to come, she definitely wouldn't allow another mistake to happen again. The second day, Ningxi received the 8 million yuan without a hitch. At 6 o'clock in the evening, together with the lawyer Lu Tingxiao had arranged for her, she headed for Starlight Entertainment. It also happened to be the time when employees were getting off work, and everyone who saw Ningxi were stunned, before they immediately started crazily spreading the news. Messages and photos popped up in online groups on Weibo. Ningxi, who had previously vanished without a trace, had finally appeared. My God! Ningxi! It really is her. She actually dared to show up. That's right. She's really bold. If I were her, I would definitely have run away. What's she trying to do, coming back now? That's right, there's no way she can survive in the entertainment industry after this, she might even be charged and imprisoned, she should have just run away. Did you see the man with her? He clearly looks like an elite. What's his background? He doesn't seem like a lover. Is he her assistant? No way. She's already fallen to this extent, can she still hire an assistant? Don't you think she could just sleep with a sponsor? Hee hee, I'd like to see what kind of sponsor is able to fix such a huge problem for her. Reception room. Seeing that Ningxi had shown up, Chang Li's expression was predictably smug. Our big star Ning is finally willing to make an appearance. You really made me wait. As she spoke, she gave the cold-looking man next to Ningxi a funny look. Who is this man? Don't you know that you can't simply bring strangers into the company? Ningxi looked askance at her, my lawyer. Heh, you even have a lawyer. Chang Li thought she had simply hired one for appearance sake, and she snorted disdainfully. Even now you're still putting on airs and defying me. Do you know how badly you've blundered this time? If I hadn't interceded with the company for you over and over again, you would have been blacklisted a long time ago. Ningxi raised an eyebrow slightly and chuckled. Heh, you, intercede for me? Then please, what was the result of your intercession? Chang Li threw a document at her. The company will hold a press conference. As long as you give a public apology at the news conference and leave the world production of your own accord, Lady Xuelua will be the bigger person and won't prosecute you, and will give you an opportunity to turn over a new leaf. But for a morally bankrupt artiste like you, even if I do everything to protect you, I'm afraid no production team will ever dare use you again. After condemning her, Chang Li then offered a way out, as she spoke with a meaningful expression, but don't lose heart. If you repent sincerely, the company won't cast you aside. You know that there are some directors who don't care about scandal, and about this, I've already accepted another film role for you. As long as you behave well, you will still have a chance to stage a comeback. Ningxi looked at her with a disingenuous smile, and said indistinctly, a big-budget production. Which big-budget production has Sister Chang accepted for me? Seeing that Ningxi had taken the bait, Chang Li gave her a disdainful look as she said, are you still afraid that I'll trick you? Have you heard of laughing in the spring breeze? Ningxi tapped her fingers fitfully on the arms of her chair. Jiang Penghai's new film? That's it, it's director Jiang. You also know, director Jiang's films might not sell well, but he was already making films in Hong Kong when Wu Qixing was still unknown. Listening to Chang Li praise Jiang Penghai so earnestly, Ningxi almost laughed aloud, and her eyes flashed coldly. Sister Chang, if you want me to sell myself, just say so. You don't have to beat around the bush. This Jiang Penghai started his career by filming X-rated videos and could never completely clean up his image. The thing people reviled Jiang Penghai for the most was his behavior. The man was especially lecherous, and had slept with almost all the actresses he had worked with. Last year, he had nearly been taken to court for having sex with a minor. She really had to hand it to them, they had taken such great pains to dig up such a movie for her to do, and with such a director. Hearing her words, Chang Li frowned. What telling you to sell yourself? Isn't the rating only just a little high? What, you aren't willing? For trash like you, if it wasn't for my strong recommendation, he might not even have wanted you at all. Think about how much you've caused the company to lose this time. Are you thinking of leeching off the company, if you can't get any roles? Sorry, I won't be taking it. Ningxi didn't feel like continuing listening to Chang Li as she reached new lows, and straightaway refused. Chang Li lost her temper on the spot, and she slapped her palm down hard onto the table. Ningxi, again and again, you never listen to my arrangements for you. Do you see me as your manager or not? I'm telling you, even if you don't want to, you have to take the role in director Zhang's movie. Manager? Ningxi smiled coldly. Soon enough, you won't be any longer. Visit Velben. CM for you ovals. Heh, you still want to change managers? It also depends on whether there's anyone in Starlight who would dare take you. Chang Li had nothing to be afraid of. What I want to change is the company. You want to cancel your contract? Chang Li's expression finally changed, but she quickly calmed down. Ningxi, don't use this to threaten me. Do you know how much the termination fee is? You still have 4 more years with the company. At 2 million a year, that comes to 8 million in total. Ningxi gave the lawyer next to her a look. With an emotionless expression on his face, the lawyer took out a black suitcase and opened it to reveal that it was full of money, all cold, hard cash. All West ch.rs on n.o/vli/n/.cm. Ningxi pushed the suitcase towards Chang Li. Here is 8 million, want to count it? You. Chang Li was struck dumb at the sight of all that cash. Where did you get all this money? Ningxi was impatient. It's none of your business, is it? Heh, so you sold your own body for money. What's there to brag about? You think 8 million is enough. Saying this, Chang Li threw a thick sheaf of documents at her. It was the termination agreement. It looked like she had prepared for this. Ningxi took the agreement and skimmed through it. The more she read, the more amused she became. Sister Chang, why didn't I know I was this valuable? A penalty fee of 60 million. Why didn't this woman just go rob the bank? She knew terminating her contract wouldn't be so easy. These people would definitely think of ways to give her a hard time. Chang Li was regained her cool. Our professional lawyer calculated this total. It's clearly stated in the agreement, aside from the $8 million termination fee, you need to compensate the company for its losses from this incident. Because of you, our project was shelved and the investments were all withdrawn, our biggest moneymaker was seriously injured. In total, this is already the least you need to pay. If you don't have the money, then we'll see you in court. Hearing this, Ningxi creased her forehead. She didn't know how good Lawyer Chen was, and whether he could handle this. Lawyer Chen just took a casual look at the agreement, his expression still calm and his mood indecipherable. Chang Li noticed Ningxi's hesitation, and sensing a weak point, immediately softened her tone. Ningxi, think carefully, do you really want to do this? There's still room for discussion. If you don't want to do Laughing in the Spring Breeze, we can arrange something else for you. I have a few scripts on hand, all big projects, you can choose any one of them. Inside her, Ningxi laughed coldly. Big projects my ass, they were definitely all the same shitty plots, just with different titles. The only reason Ning Xuelua didn't want Ningxi to leave Starlight was so that she could keep a close eye on her and keep her under her thumb forever, even if she was afraid that Ningxi was desperate enough to go back to the Ning family. At the same time, there was a knock on the door. Starlight's lawyers had arrived. 3 of them at once. Ningxi knew one of them, he was the senior law advisor for Ning Corporation, Kaiying Yong. F*******. Ning Xuelua really wanted to crush her this time. On her side, Ningxi looked at the lonely Lawyer Chen, and felt even more unsure. After Chang Li's backup arrived, she crossed her arms, her expression coolly arrogant. Ningxi, you can still change your mind. Law wasn't Ningxi's field, she really didn't know much about it, and could only depend on Lawyer Chen. Lawyer Chen still didn't make a sound. Next to him, Ningxi was about to worry herself to death. Wasn't a lawyer supposed to be eloquent? Why the hell was this guy not only stone-faced, he was also acting like a mute? Could he actually do it or not? But then, what happened next was like a fantasy drama to Ningxi. Lawyer Chen stood up slowly, produced a pile of papers from his briefcase, and finally opened his mouth. First of all, as far as I am aware, your company withdrew its investment to threaten the production crew. That has nothing to do with my client. Secondly, Ning International has nothing to do with my client. My client is not obliged to compensate for any of its losses. Thirdly, your company's employee was injured on set. Your company, the production crew and the insurance company should jointly bear responsibility. My client has not been convicted in any court and is not obliged to bear any responsibility. Furthermore, according to the evaluation of the injury sustained by your company's Miss Ning Xuelua, it was only a superficial wound. The most we will compensate you for is 252.40 yuan in total. As for the additional expenses of staying in a VIP ward and service fees, these should not be borne by my client. In a standoff against the 3 lawyers, Lawyer Chen fired his words off rapidly. He spoke for half an hour without pausing to take a breath, and in front of his direct attack, the 3 Starlight lawyers were left speechless, their sweat falling like rain. After successfully helping her terminate her contract, apart from the 8 million, they didn't pay a single cent more. Oh, that wasn't right, they paid an extra 252.40 yuan. The end result was that the other party agreed to settle the matter privately, and no longer dared mention taking it to court. Ningxi's mind was still going round in circles. So it turned out that Lawyer Chen had been in cool-down mode at first, waiting until his strength was fully recharged before unleashing his ultimate move? Chang Li was even more stupefied than she was. It was the same for the 3 opposing lawyers. As Ningxi and Lawyer Chen were leaving, Kaiying Yong, the Ning family lawyer, stood up abruptly, his face bewildered as he looked at Lawyer Chen and asked, "Wait. If I may be so bold, are you big Lawyer Chen Jing?" The other two lawyers next to him were stunned at his words. "What? Chen Jing? Which Chen Jing? It can't be Big Defender Chen?" At first, they had completely looked down on this taciturn lawyer whom Ningxi had brought with her, so they never bothered to ask who he was. Now, the more they thought about it, the more something felt off. They had never seen Chen Jing in person, but they had long heard about the way he worked. He was normally a man of few words, and people who didn't know him would assume he was a mute. But once he started working, it was as if crazy mode was switched on: rapid-fire speech, clear logic, words like blades, combat power which hit the roof. Lawyer Chen paid no heed to Kai Yong, his steps never faltering as he directly walked out of the meeting room. Behind them, Chang Li collapsed into her chair like a dead person. It was over! Ning Xuelua had told her repeatedly not to let Ningxi terminate her contract with the company, but now, it was a mess. Was the lawyer whom Ningxi had hired the top lawyer in the whole capital, Big Defender Chen? Why would Big Defender Chen come running to help Ningxi with a small contract termination? Knowing that this lawyer charged by the minute, it would cost a fortune to hire him. Maybe Ningxi's sponsor was Lawyer Chen? Even after they left Starlight Entertainment, Ningxi was still unable to wrap her head around the whole thing. Who would have thought the stuffy and stone-faced lawyer would be so fierce? Were all the lawyers in Glory World Entertainment this amazing? While she was still absorbed in her thoughts, a flood of reporters suddenly descended upon her at the main entrance. Ningxi! Ningxi! Did you come back to confess your crime? Do you have anything to say about your premeditated attempt to murder Ning Xuelua? Ning Xuelua has generously expressed that as long as you apologize, she is willing to give you a chance to turn over a new leaf. Don't you feel ashamed of yourself? Did you also mastermind the previous incident with Jia Qingqing? Is it true that Starlight Entertainment is going to terminate your contract and blacklist you? Those reporters crowded Ningxi in a frenzy. Ningxi was outnumbered, and it also wouldn't be good for her to become violent with the reporters in this situation. Just as she was thinking of a way to escape, 5 well-trained bodyguards dressed in black came out of nowhere, and in less than 10 seconds, they had contained the situation, protecting Ningxi tightly in their center. The reporters looked at each other. What was going on? Where did these people come from? How could a 2-bit artiste like Ningxi, with no status, power, or background, afford bodyguards? And 5 of them! In order to not create rumors or bring trouble to Ningxi, the bodyguards this time weren't wearing the Lu family emblem, but were still more than enough to scare the reporters off. Protected by the bodyguards, Ningxi paused and spoke calmly in front of the reporters. Firstly, I'm not guilty, so there's no need for me to turn myself in for anything, and I have nothing to be ashamed of. Secondly, the incident with Jia Qingqing was already clarified a long time ago. Please don't spread misleading lies, otherwise, that is slander. Thirdly, I did terminate my contract with Starlight, just a while ago. But I was the one who initiated it. Fourthly, want to blacklist me? They can try. After she was done speaking, Ningxi ignored the uproar behind her as she directly got into the black car that had stopped right beside her. Luckily, Lu Tingxiao had arranged everything meticulously. He had already anticipated that she would be besieged by the reporters today, which was why the bodyguards and the car had appeared just in time. Miss Shi, where to next? The driver asked. Let's go home. Ningxi paused, and then couldn't help asking, why do all of you call me Miss Shi and not Miss Ning? Now that she thought about it, everyone in the Lu residence, from the maids to Lu Tingxiao's subordinates, all called her either Miss Shi or Miss Xiao Shi. It was CEO Lu who ordered it, the driver answered. You updates tnvel/buy.com. I see. This man was really too thoughtful. He knew that she didn't like her Ning family name. At the same time, at the Lu residence, Lu Jingli lay limp on the sofa like a dead fish. Brother, you've been deciding the whole day. We have so many outstanding managers in the company, is there not a single one up to your standard? What about Lei Ming? He's been with us for a long time, is very experienced, and has a lot of local and overseas contacts. He and Ning Shi also know each other. Lu Tingxiao, he's Jiang Mai's manager. Lu Jingli, okay, what about Hao Shuai? He has no connection to Jiang Mai, right? Lu Tingxiao, no mails. Lu Jingli's mouth corner twitched. Then Yi Shengluan, a top manager. Her professional capabilities are well established. Lu Tingxiao, her sexual orientation isn't clear. Pooh, it's true there are rumors that say she's into women. Holy shit, brother, you know way too many details. Lu Jingli's face was full of frustration. What about Mei Xin then? Female, her boyfriend is Su Yimo's ex-manager, her work performance was ranked #1 last year in the company. Lu Tingxiao, her character's problematic. Lu Jingli was completely dumbfounded. Picking imperial concubines for the emperor is easier than this. What the hell do you want? Lu Tingxiao paused for a moment, then asked, why didn't you give me Lin Zhixi's information? Lin Zhixi is on leave, and she said she wouldn't take on new artistes in the near future. I figured she was trying to avoid Jiang Mai tut-tut. I want her. Lu Tingxiao decided straight away. Brother, you're too evil. In his heart, Lu Jingli observed a moment of silence for Jiang Mai, then he started to do the same for himself. Why are you always making things difficult for me? Lin Zhixi already said she wasn't accepting new artistes. As the two of them were discussing, Ning Shi returned. I'm back. Anybody home? As soon as she said it, one of her legs was hugged tightly by a soft little bun, and he had an aggrieved 3 hours felt like 3 years expression on his face. Only after Ning Shi hugged him for a long time did the clingy little bun give her a smile. You're back. Did it go smoothly? Lu Tingxiao asked as he walked over. Talking about this, Ning Shi became all excited. It went so well. The lawyer which the company arranged for me was amazing. He took on 3 lawyers by himself and trashed them in a battle of words. Changli, that monkey, wanted to extort 60 million from me, but in the end I didn't pay a single cent. Oh, wait, I actually paid 252.40 yuan for Ning Xueluo's medical fee. He was just so cool. Are the lawyers in Glory World Entertainment all as amazing as him? I heard them call him Big Defender Chin. At this moment, Lu Jingli said faintly behind them, what lawyer for Glory World Entertainment? Chen Jing is the senior legal advisor at Lu Corporation. Pooh. Hearing this, Ning Shi was stunned, and she looked at Lu Tingxiao in pure disbelief. Lu Tingxiao, you asked your company lawyer who frequently deals with billion-dollar financial lawsuits to help me solve my tiny 8 million yuan case? This felt too much like the emperor sending a state official to help a peasant like her find out who stole her pig. Just in case, Lu Tingxiao answered calmly. When it came to her, no matter was too small. Ning Shi already didn't want to say anything else. The big demon king always had his own extraordinary way of doing things. Have you looked through the contract I gave you this morning? Lu Tingxiao asked. Ning Shi grabbed her hair. It's so thick, I read it until my head was going to burst. Anyway, I skimmed through it and signed it already. I'll give it to you later. You updates tnvel/buy.com. Lu Tingxiao frowned. Do you trust me that much? Ning Shi shrugged. The worst thing that could happen is that I get sold off to you. If that's the case, I'll help you count the money. Lu Tingxiao smiled indulgently. Lu Jingli. Ouch, my dog eyes. I'm going to go blind. It's impossible to remain in this house any longer. If everything goes well, you can report to the company the day after tomorrow. Tomorrow, take the day off and rest at home, Lu Tingxiao said. Oh, okay. Ningxi nodded. Lu Jingli wanted to smash his head in when he heard this. The day after tomorrow? Didn't that mean he only had one day to convince Lin Zhizhi? This was too inhumane. It was as if Lu Tingxiao could hear Lu Jingli's internal complaints. He looked at him and said, after this, you can take a vacation. Awesome! I'm on it! Lu Jingli was immediately revived. That night, in the VIP ward at the First People's Republic Hospital in the capital, Ning Xuelua was staring daggers at the woman on the TV screen. At the main entrance of the Starlight Building, Ning Shi, who had been missing for several days, made an appearance. Not only did she not look weak or haggard, she had shown up looking radiant. She was tightly protected by 5 bodyguards in black, and her expression was firm as she faced the horde of reporters. Firstly, I'm not guilty, so there's no need for me to turn myself in for anything, and I have nothing to be ashamed of. Secondly, the incident with Jia Qingqing. Fourthly, want to blacklist me? They can try. Hearing the last sentence, Ning Xuelua threw the bedside lamp hard at the TV. The screen fizzled and smoked a bit before turning black. Chang Li. What is this? Cui Kaijing was bad enough, even you can make this kind of low-level mistake. I already told you so many times, we cannot let her terminate her contract. Ning Xuelua was the type to blame others whenever things went wrong. Chang Li was already used to it, but her face still darkened. I warned you a long time ago, with Ningxi's traits, if she found herself a powerful and influential sponsor, even I wouldn't be able to suppress her. Now that you've pushed her to this point, we should have expected this result. So was I supposed to do nothing and just watch her reverse the situation? I forked out so much. I paid 8 million for nothing. Ning Xuelua was hysterical, unable to bear setback after setback. Xuelua, things are not as bad as you think. Ningxi's reputation has already been ruined in this industry. Even a sponsor can't save her image. Besides, who would dare use an artiste that has been blacklisted by Starlight? This is the end of her career. Not only that, think about it, this incident has left a huge impact on the industry. She spent 8 million like it was nothing, had bodyguards to protect her, and was picked up in a classy car. Who wouldn't think that she's become a mistress? Can the Ning family accept her even after this? Do you think she'll still be able to return to the upper-class circle? Hearing this, Ning Xuelua's rage finally cooled a little. With the Water Army, have you made arrangements yet? Don't worry, when this happened, I already handled it, we won't need to lift a finger, and those reporters will definitely depict it the way we want in their articles. Chang Li said with certainty. Ning Xuelua glanced over the most recent news on her cell phone, and only when she saw a screen full of titles like Ningxi talks arrogantly after obtaining a sponsor, Ningxi suspected of becoming a mistress, Ningxi refuses to admit her crime and shows no remorse, did she relax? Good, make sure public opinion doesn't change, and definitely no more setbacks after this. Just as she finished saying so, someone knocked on the door. Ning Xuelua immediately looked at Chang Li nervously. Chang Li hurriedly tidied up the pieces of the broken lamp and covered the TV with a cloth before opening the door. Outside the door, Su Yan was a little surprised to see Chang Li in Ning Xuelua's ward at this time. Were you discussing something? I had some work matters to discuss with Sister Chang, we've just finished. Brother Yan, why are you here so late? Ning Xuelua changed the topic. LL new rise at N0V/LBI/.cm. Then you guys talk, I'm leaving first. Changli took her leave, giving Ning Xuelua one last look before she left. Su Yan didn't notice the exchange between the two. He was frowning a little, and looked a bit down. Seeing him like this, Ning Xuelua probed, does this have to do with Ningxi? Su Yan didn't say anything. Ning Xuelua bit her lip, and her body quivered slightly. Brother Yan, are you blaming me? For pushing Ningxi to this point? Su Yan sighed. Why does your imagination always run wild? This whole thing is her fault, how can I blame you? I just blame myself for not settling everything before now, and making her go this far. I also never expected that she would rather sell her own body than apologize to me. Why does she hate me this much? What on earth can I do to pacify her? Is leaving you really the only way? Ning Xuelua's face was full of pain. Su Yan's face changed instantly, and he said in a harsh tone, Xuelua, you're not allowed to say this, we've been through so much to be together, don't tell me you want to give up over such a small thing? Ning Xuelua hurriedly snuggled into his arms, her expression scared. I'm sorry, I won't say it again, I'm just afraid that you'll regret it, regret being with me. Su Yan stared at her blankly before saying firmly, I have never regretted it. As the two of them were talking, there was yet another knock on the door. Su Yan went to open the door, and was surprised to see Ning Yaohua and Zhuang Lingyu. Uncle, Auntie. Dad, Mom, why are you here? Ning Xuelua was surprised, and was about to hurriedly get off the bed to greet them. Zhuang Lingyu pressed down on her shoulders. Don't move around, you're still injured, be good and lie back down. It's nothing, we just wanted to see you. Ning Yahua's face was dark. Xuelua, don't worry, I came here to tell you that I will find justice for you, even if I have to tie her up and drag her here to apologize to you. Ning Xuelua's eyes welled up with tears. Thank you, Dad and Mom, actually I'm all right, I just hope Sister realizes her errors and mend her ways, as she is right now, her whole life will be ruined. Zhuang Lingyu's face was especially unsightly. I never expected she would actually do such a dishonorable thing. What crimes have our Ning family committed to deserve this? If I had known earlier, I would never have brought her back. Having Xuelua is enough for us, but your grandfather wouldn't listen, now look at what has happened. Ning Yaohua became anxious. Enough, stop prattling on, I'll deal with this. Also, don't let the old man know about this. Now was the crucial period in his fight with his younger brother to claim the right of inheritance. Lu residence. After coaxing little Bun to sleep, Ningxi applied a facial mask and was just about to get some beauty sleep when the screen of her cell phone suddenly started flashing with an incoming. The call was from Ning Yaohua. Ningxi narrowed her eyes, then walked out onto the balcony before picking up the call. Hey! What hey? Don't you know how to greet your father? Where are your manners? Are you sure you want to fight with me over this again? How I wish the Ning family didn't have someone like you, but the Ning blood runs through your veins, and no matter how much I try, that can't be erased. The dirty things that you do outside, in the end reflects back on our Ning family, and we're the ones who lose face. Heh, the dirty things I do, was it something Ning Xuelua said again? Does it have to be from Xuelua? It's all over the internet now. They say that you're poisonous and completely unrepentant, and that you've even become someone's mistress. You don't think it's shameful, you actually think it's an honor, and you flaunt it off publicly in front of people. Discover new Tories at nv/lbin.c/o. Don't say that I've accused you wrongly again, I had people waiting outside your apartment for days, but you never returned. Why don't you tell me where you've been staying these last few days? And where did you get that money from? I'm warning you, Ningxi, this is your last chance. Come back at once and apologize to Shuelua. Also, I've arranged proper work for you at our Singapore branch. I've booked the flight ticket, pack your things and leave the day after tomorrow. He had banished her once 5 years ago, and 5 years later he actually wanted to banish her again. Ningxi enunciated every word as she spoke. Chairman Ning, I do have the Ning blood running in my veins, but apart from donating one single sperm, you have done nothing for my upbringing. Even if you lose face, and lose it all the way at the very bottom of the Pacific Ocean, it's not for you to lecture me, and even less for you to meddle in my life. Ningxi! You impudent! Think carefully about the consequences of making me angry. You! Ningxi hung up directly, cutting off the roar from the other end of the line. This time, she felt unexpectedly peaceful inside. There was no anger, no disappointment, and definitely no sadness. Ningxi! Suddenly, there was a gentle call from the side. Ningxi turned her head, and saw Lu Tingxiao looking at her worriedly from the balcony of his room next door. Ningxi was surprised. Lu Tingxiao, why are you still awake? Lu Tingxiao walked to the edge of his balcony where it was closest to her. I heard noises on the balcony, so I came out to take a look. Are you all right? Ningxi's looked the same as she shrugged. I'm fine, it was Ning Yaohua, and the same old speech every time he calls me. I can even recite what he's going to say. Lu Tingxiao wasn't so good at comforting people, but he reached out over the balcony rail to touch her head gently. Don't be sad. Ningxi smiled, and under the light of the stars, her countenance was light and serene. I'm not sad at all. In this world, the only people who can hurt us are the ones we care about. The more you care, the more you get hurt. But now, I won't get hurt anymore. Because she no longer cared. That time at the hospital was the last time she would feel sad because of those people. That wasn't going to happen anymore. Okay. I'm going to bed. I still have to get up early tomorrow morning. Good night. Ningxi waved at him. Early morning? There's nothing on tomorrow, you can sleep in. I'm waking up early to go grocery shopping. Groceries for what? Lu Tingxiao didn't understand. Of course to cook. Last time, I promised to cook for you and Little Treasure. It kept getting put off, until now, I still haven't done it yet. You just recovered, there's no need to rush. I'm just going to buy some groceries and cook, it's nothing tiring, plus it's just nice that I have time tomorrow, so that's settled. Oh, right, remember not to eat too much for breakfast, save some space in your stomach, I'll definitely make you wish you had 2 of them. Looking at the girl's pleased face, Lu Tingxiao smiled. Okay. Early next morning. Ningxi wore a light pink dress with a pair of white low-heeled sandals. She wore light makeup, and her natural curls had been straightened so that her hair fell in a wave over her shoulders. As usual, the pink heart-shaped hair clip had been pinned into her hair at her temples. In short, she looked very much like a good wife and loving mother. Lu Tingxiao was sitting on the sofa reading a newspaper, and he was stunned for a moment when he saw her. This appearance. If it wasn't a special occasion, Ningxi tended towards a simple and light style most of the time. This was the first time that he had seen her dressed like a true lady. Ningxi bounced excitedly in front of him. So? Do I look like I'm married and am a wife? Lu Tingxiao looked at her, and there was a meaningful and profound light in his eyes, very much so. Married and a wife. There were no more beautiful words than these. Hey, that's good. This way, I won't be ripped off when I shop at the market. Ningxi nodded in satisfaction. Then I'm leaving. Just as she was about to take a step, she couldn't move her legs. It was little Bun hugging her leg again. Ningxi didn't know whether to laugh or cry as she looked at her leg accessory. Darling! Why are you up so early? Little Treasure rubbed his sleepy eyes and stretched out his arms, indicating that he wanted a hug. Of course Ningxi had to pick him up. I'm just going grocery shopping, I'll be back very soon. Little Bun still clung to her neck. Find new stories on NOV/ELBin.com. Can we go with you? At this time, Lu Tingxiao spoke from the side. Ningxi blinked. The both of you want to go as well? It's just nice, we can take Little Treasure out for a walk, Lu Tingxiao said. Little Bun also nodded his head vigorously. Ningxi scratched her head. Of course you can go. But a place like the market may be a little chaotic. I'm not going to the supermarket, but a big market a little further away. The ingredients there are the freshest. That's not a problem. Let's go. Lu Tingxiao put down the newspaper and picked up a car key. And so Ningxi's solo trip became a three-man expedition with Little Bun and Big Bun. Underground garage. Looking at the row of shiny cars, Ningxi swallowed her drool, especially when she saw her male god Little White. Noticing Ningxi staring at the white Bugatti sports car, Lu Tingxiao asked her, "Shall we take this one?" Ningxi came back to herself, and shook her head hurriedly. Of course not. We're just going to the market, how can we drive a sports car there? Do you have a more low-key car? She glanced around the garage. There really wasn't any. There was no way he could have any. But Lu Tingxiao nodded. Yes, I do. After that, he pressed some switch, and then a black car was delivered out from another partitioned area of the garage. It was a family car, priced at about 500,000 yuan, and it looked new. Ningxi nodded repeatedly. This one's great. But why would Lu Tingxiao have a car that was so out of place here? Lu Tingxiao seemed to know what she was thinking, and explained, this was prepared for you when you first came, but you never drove it. Ah. It turned out to be the car that Lu Tingxiao had prepared for her in the beginning. Seeing the slightly lonely expression on Lu Tingxiao's face, Ningxi felt as if she had made a huge mistake, so she hurried to explain, that's because I usually take the subway since it's more convenient, and there's no traffic jam. With these words, she quickly changed the subject. Let's hurry, if we're just a little late, the good stuff will have been snapped up by other people, and that will affect my performance. On the road, Ningxi rolled down the car window. The morning breeze was cool, and it felt nice on her face. It also blew away the depressed mood she had been in for days. Lu Tingxiao turned on the radio, and instantly, light music floated out of the car. Confession balloons blown across the street by the wind I saw a smile in the sky. You said you were difficult to chase after you wanted me to give up. You don't need the dearest gift but you want leaves from the Élysée visit N0VL/BIN. For the best novel reading experience. Oh I will take you on a romantic date not afraid to screw everything up. Owning you is owning the whole world. My love I love you since I met you everything is sweet. My love don't refuse your eyes are saying you agree. The melody of this song was very sweet, it was as bright and crisp as a summer day, but listening to it, Ningxi felt something was strange. They were just going out to buy groceries, why was it turning out to feel like a date? And the lyrics, for some reason, listening to them made her feel strangely bashful. After half an hour of this strange atmosphere, they arrived at the market. Do we need to buy you a mask? Lu Tingxiao asked her with some worry. In order not to be disturbed, this time he did not have bodyguards follow them. No need. The people who come here don't have so much time to care about gossip. Besides, today I'm dressed like such a lady, definitely no one will recognize me. Compared with me, I think you and Little Treasure need the masks more. Ningxi teased. Although it was still very early, there was already a lot of people at the market. It was bustling with activity, as crowds of people came and went. Worried that Little Treasure wouldn't be used to it, Ningxi bent down to pick him up. It was Little Treasure's first time in a place like this, and there was so much to see around him. His little head shifted from her left shoulder to her right shoulder as he looked around very intently. However, Little Bun had recently put on a little more weight, and was really getting a little heavy. After a while, Ningxi was starting to feel the strain. Next to her, Lu Tingxiao took Little Treasure away from her just in time. "I'll hold him." Little Bun was already in Lu Tingxiao's arms, but his hands still clung tightly to Ningxi's neck. Lu Tingxiao looked solemn. "Do you know you're very heavy?" Hearing this, Little Bun immediately looked like he had been dealt a huge blow, like a girl who had been told that she was fat. Ningxi found it very funny, but still hurriedly comforted him. "Don't listen to your father's rubbish. You are not heavy at all, and you can still be a bit fatter. But your dad can hold you a little more steadily. He's also taller, so you will have a better view if he carries you." Little Treasure reluctantly agreed, but he wasn't in the mood to look at the scenery. Instead, he stared fixedly at Ningxi the whole way, for fear that she would be pushed out of his sight by the crowd. As soon as she was a little further away, he would stretch out his hands towards her. "Wow, the fish over there looks really fresh." Like a loach, Ningxi bored her way through the crowd to reach the front of one stall. Lu Tingxiao gave the girl a look, and then freed up one of his hands to hold hers. Ningxi was startled, and instinctively looked at their joined hands, her palm burning a little. "Little Treasure is very worried that you'll get lost," Lu Tingxiao said with a resigned expression. Ningxi gave Little Treasure a look, and only then realized how anxious his expression was. "Hey, madam, do you still want this fish?" the fishmonger auntie asked. Ningxi hurriedly said, "Yes, yes, yes. I've looked around, elder auntie, your fish is really fresh. Madam, you have a good eye. You can ask anyone, everyone knows that our fish is the best in the whole market." The elder auntie was very proud. Only after quite a long while did Ningxi realize that something was wrong. This elder auntie called her madam? It was obvious that she had mistaken them for a family of 3. Forget it, it was troublesome to explain, and Ningxi couldn't be bothered. "Elder auntie, give me one." "Okay." The elder auntie was very honest in weighing the fish, and even charged her less for it. After selling the fish, the elder auntie looked admiringly at the man next to Ningxi holding a child in his arms. "You're very lucky, madam. Your husband and your son are both so handsome." Even in a place like the market, what's more with a baby in his arms, Lu Tingxiao still had an extraordinary temperament. This really was a kind of talent. "Haha, really? But I'm also very handsome," Ningxi said jokingly. "Yes, yes, yes, your whole family is handsome. Especially your little darling, he really is too lovable. He completely inherited yours and your spouse's strong points. Come, let elder auntie give you a small fish as a gift." Ningxi touched her face subconsciously. Little Bun had inherited all hers and Lu Tingxiao's strong points? It seemed that this wasn't the first time she had heard this. After that, Ningxi and Lu Tingxiao, who was holding Little Treasure, more or less became the focus of the whole market. Wherever they went to buy something, the stall owners all wanted to give them something: onions, garlic, eggs, fish, shrimp, there was a bit of everything. Ningxi's basket was quickly becoming full to bursting. Ningxi's expression was that of someone who had hit upon a new way of getting rich. She sighed with excitement. I never expected that bringing little Treasure would be such an advantage. I'll bring him again next time. Little Treasure nodded his head repeatedly. Lu Tingxiao, okay. Finally, the three left to return home with their gains. The whole way back, Ningxi was in a very good mood. Halfway there, she suddenly remembered something and shouted, Lu Tingxiao, do you know my apartment? Turn left at the intersection ahead. I do you want to go back? Lu Tingxiao drove his car to her apartment, familiar with the route even if he had only been there once. I'll go get my super secret spice. Wait for me. All right. Ningxi ran into the apartment building and was quick to grab the spice before going back downstairs. As she passed through the lobby, the girl at the front desk quickly called out to her. Hey, wait, are you Ningxi? You have 2 express deliveries which have been sitting here for several days. Do you still want them or not? After saying this, prying eyes eager for gossip sized Ningxi up. She was thinking that Ningxi hadn't come back for a very long time and probably had become a mistress. Ningxi pretended to not notice her look, directly picked up one big box and another smaller one, and left. Find new stories on NOV/EL-BIN.com. When she exited the main door, she saw from a distance Little Treasure pressed against the window of the car on the other side of the road, anxiously waiting for her. Ningxi's eyes became warm, but in the next second, 3 men suddenly appeared in her line of sight. They were dressed in black, and with one look, she could tell that they were up to no good, as they rushed directly at her. Ningxi's eyes grew hard with conditioned vigilance. In that one moment, she put down the things in her hands, forcibly ripped the hem of her dress apart, and then instantly kicked one of the men when he rushed forward. Caught off guard, the man's whole body flew back from the kick, and the 2 other men were stunned for a long moment before they came back to themselves, and advanced on Ningxi with even more ferocious looks on their faces. Ningxi was dressed too ladylike today, which hampered her actions, so she was unable to instantly defeat the 2 men. As she was fighting them, another man came up behind her to grab her by the arm and try to tie her up with a rope. Ningxi was about to retaliate when the man's hand was suddenly whipped away from her arm, and he screamed in extreme pain. She almost heard the crack of bones in his hand. Ningxi's gaze followed the man's arm up to see Lu Tingxiao gripping the man's wrist firmly. She didn't know when he had come out of the car, he looked icy as frost, and gave off a murderous aura. She didn't know what twisting move Lu Tingxiao made, and only saw the man's whole body spin horizontally as he was tossed aside. He fell to the ground like a sack, and didn't move after that. It was probably because Lu Tingxiao had been so savage in his attack, that the other 3 men looked at each other before instinctively retreating. Are you all right? When Lu Tingxiao turned in Ningxi's direction, there was still a hint of violence in his eyes. Ningxi nodded blankly. I'm fine. She had never seen Lu Tingxiao fight and had even assumed that for the large part, he was a mild and refined person. She had never thought that he would be so good at fighting. Just then, a black Ferrari pulled up nearby and slowed to a stop. A person stepped out of the car. Dressed in a high-end, tailor-made Giorgio Armani suit, it was Ning Yaohua. Ning Yaohua looked at the man beside Ningxi as if he was looking at trash, and then glanced contemptuously at their parked car. Ningxi, is this the man you've been dallying with these last days, and the reason why you've never returned home? Driving a shabby car worth just several 100,000 yuan. Hearing this, Ningxi was so angry that she almost laughed aloud. You judge a man's worth by the car he drives? From his words, it turned out that he didn't care about her becoming a mistress, only whether the person was powerful and influential enough. Your F48 stories on /o/v/lbn.cm. Was it more noble for her to be the mistress of a man who drove a Bentley instead? If I don't judge by the car, am I supposed to judge by his face? I thought you had found someone distinguished. It turns out he's some no-good boy toy. Really, the more you live, the worse you become. Ning Yaohua cursed at her. The man's looks were not bad, but since he drove this kind of car, at the most he was only a small-time businessman of a small company. Ning Shi. He actually called Lu Tingxiao a boy toy. After scolding Ning Shi, Ning Yaohua gave Lu Tingxiao an overbearing and arrogant look. Who are you? Do you know who she is? You dare to fool around with my, Ning Yaohua's, daughter. Don't you know that I can destroy you in the capital? Ning Shi. In front of outsiders, Lu Tingxiao never spoke needless words. In front of Ning Yaohua, he appeared even more condescending as he looked askance at him, not even bothering to give him a proper look. Ning Yaohua was about to continue berating and humiliating him, but for some reason, a sliver of fear flashed in his heart, and he was suddenly unable to speak. He was just a small-time boss, why was he so imposing? Humph, this good-for-nothing daughter of his must have definitely been deceived by this pretentious appearance. Ning Shi, what I said last night is still valid, it's not too late if you choose to go back with me now. Ning Yaohua said, as if he was performing an act of charity. Ning Shi curled her lip and held onto Lu Tingxiao's arm in an intimate gesture. Sorry, I choose my boy toy. You should just go back to wherever you came from. Ning Shi. You'll regret this. Seeing them leave arm in arm, Ning Yaohua flew into a rage, then with a dark face, ordered the bodyguard next to him, follow them. Too many things had surprised him today, one of them being Ning Shi's skill in martial arts. He had had the impression that this daughter of his was physically very weak. The other was that man. For some reason, he felt something was off about that man's identity. Back in the car. Ning Shi immediately scratched her head and apologized to Lu Tingxiao. Sorry. You were scolded for no reason because of me. It's fine. Although Lu Tingxiao had been scolded, at that moment, he was not angry at all. The reason, naturally, was because of the way Ning Shi had hugged his arm at the end. Even the words boy toy, because she had added my in front of them, became a sweet nickname. Darling, were you scared? A little worried, Ning Shi looked at Little Treasure. Little Treasure shook his head, and clung to her arms. He didn't seem frightened, and in fact, looked a little depressed. Why was he only 5 years old? He really wanted to grow up quickly. That way, he could protect her, and not just watch from afar. Lu Tingxiao obviously saw right through his son's thoughts. This is your father's job, stop trying to do it. Only a few people know my address, who would send me these packages. Ning Shi grunted as she picked up one of the express boxes. She looked at the name of the sender, but the handwriting was so indistinct that she couldn't make it out clearly. Lu Tingxiao was about to ask her if she needed a knife, but Ning Shi had already skillfully ripped the package open by hand. This was probably a skill every girl should have. After opening the outer layer of the package, she saw a bottle of very nice-looking perfume in an exquisitely wrapped gift box. There was also a very simple note, "Happy birthday." In the rearview mirror, Lu Tingxiao looked at Ning Shi's extremely happy expression. Friend? Ning Shi carefully put the perfume back, and then said, "It's my cousin. I told you before that my second uncle has a son and 3 daughters, right? The son is not his, and 2 of his daughters are illegitimate children which he had with women outside. My second auntie only had 1 child, my cousin Ning Tianqin." Lu Tingxiao looked a little relieved. So it was her cousin. Good, a cousin was very good. Ning Shi had a longing expression on her face. When I was living with the Ning family, she was the only one who was good to me. Although she looks very cold, it's only on the outside, she's actually a warm person. It was a pity that at the beginning I didn't get too close to her because she looked too cold. I didn't take her words to heart when she considerately reminded me several times to be wary of Ning Xuelua. In fact, Sister Xian's character is very similar to yours. You both look very cold but actually are very nice. Lu Tingxiao. He had been praised. But he didn't know if he should be happy. Was this the legendary nice guy status? After Ningxi said that, she opened the second package. While the writing wasn't illegible, the name of the sender wasn't written anywhere at all. An anonymous package. I've been slammed so badly recently, isn't it better if I don't casually open an anonymous package? As Ningxi spoke, she shook it. There was no sound from inside, and she couldn't hear anything. Let me open it for you. From the driver's seat, Lu Tingxiao stretched out his hand. Ah. Just as Ningxi was about to remind him that he was driving and so couldn't help her, she saw Lu Tingxiao take his hand off the steering wheel, but the car continued to travel along steadily, even turning itself when they reached an intersection. Ningxi was completely stunned. What is with this car? Find you chapters on nv/lbi.com. Lu Tingxiao replied indifferently, its system was modified a bit. Ningxi. It was not unusual to have a car that could drive itself nowadays. But you actually modified it yourself? Only then did she realize that, while the car looked like a several 100,000 yuan model of a generic, mid-range brand on the outside, the features inside the car were quite different. Did Lu Tingxiao wind up just using the shell and changing everything inside? Was the seat under her but actually real leather? The metal armrest was so lustrous, was it made from some high-tech material? The jade pendant hanging in the front for protection was exceptionally translucent, was it an ice jadeite? She simply didn't dare to continue thinking. Ningxi came back to herself with some difficulty, and then nervously reminded Lu Tingxiao, you must be careful. In case the package is really... Just then, there was the sound of a bang. The jadeite is perhaps the world's most expensive gem, and the ice jadeite the rarest of them all. Sparkling powder exploded in a mushroom cloud, covering Lu Tingxiao's head and clothes. A closer look revealed that scattered in the mess that had exploded were lots of shiny objects that looked like diamonds. This familiar way of sending things, she didn't need to ask, she already knew who the sender was. It was just that his taste had become worse. While a certain someone crushed people with money, this person crushed them with diamonds. Although the carat size wasn't large, there were so many of them that if each one was made into a ring, there would be hundreds of thousands of young men who could propose marriage to their sweethearts. It wasn't just Lu Tingxiao, Ningxi and Little Treasure in the back seat had also been caught a little in the exploding mess, and their bodies flashed and glittered with it. Ningxi. Lu Tingxiao. Visit novilbin.c/m for the L-test updates. Little Treasure. Ningxi wiped her face, and then helped Little Treasure wipe his. Then she quickly leaned over to help pick at the mess that was stuck to Lu Tingxiao. I'm sorry, are you all right? Did any of it get in your eyes? Lu Tingxiao ran a hand through his hair, shaking loose a small shower of tiny diamonds and a piece of paper. He picked it up and read what was written on it, Dearest, happy birthday. You still like this sort of thing, right? Y.S. You. Lu Tingxiao looked at her with a slightly complicated expression. Do you like this style? He started to reflect on himself. Compared with the simple and straightforward methods which other people used, was the way he expressed his intentions too vague? Ningxi was speechless. Do I look like I like this type of thing? Well, you can still call it a surprise, but this is a horror thriller, all right? Lu Tingxiao, although you are very rich, you must not ever chase a girl like this in the future. If you want to chase someone, I can teach you later. It's a promise. When Lu Tingxiao heard this, the corners of his mouth tilted upward slightly. It was exactly what he wanted, okay. At this moment, out of the corner of his eye, he noticed a car following them in the rearview mirror. It looked like Ning Yaohua's car. Seeing something off in Lu Tingxiao's expression, Ningxi followed his gaze, and also saw the car. F********. This guy just doesn't stop. Do we need to throw them off? Asked Lu Tingxiao. Ningxi thought about it gloomily, then shook her head. Forget it, ignore him, they can't get in anyway. And little treasure is still in the car, it would be too dangerous to drive fast. 10 minutes later, Platinum Palace. Lu Tingxiao's small black car, which completely did not match the luxury cars coming and going, slowly approached the front gate. When it was a few meters away, the guard saluted respectfully and then gallantly opened the gate for them and kept watching the car until it drove out of sight. But Ning Yaohua, who was following them closely, was immediately stopped. Hello, please show me your pass. The guard had a business-like expression on his face. Ning Yaohua looked anxiously at the black car, which disappeared around a corner, and asked impatiently, "What pass?" "If you don't have a pass, you may have the resident inside call to let us know to let you in," said the guard. Ning Yaohua frowned. Then why could that car just now enter so easily? "He is our resident," the guard answered. What? Ning Yaohua's face instantly changed. Was there a mistake? It was Platinum Palace, the gathering place for the wealthiest people in the capital. Not just anyone could live there. How could that boy toy driving that shabby car be a resident here? Or could he be a housekeeper or assistant, or someone's illegitimate son? After a number of extraordinary events, the three of them finally arrived back home. After taking all the bags to the kitchen, the first order of business wasn't to cook, but to take a shower. The three of them were covered in varying amounts of fairy dust and little diamonds. Any one of them could be dropping thousands of yuan as they moved, and Ningxi watched each step she took very carefully, which was torture. After a shower, Ningxi changed into a comfortable outfit which was easy to move around in, taking on the stance of someone about to go all out. Need help? Lu Tingxiao came downstairs with Little Treasure. Little Treasure smelt so nice after a shower, and Ningxi squeezed him in a hug. Call Wanwan to come help me, the two of you only need to go watch TV and wait to eat. You just showered, there's no point in getting dirty again. Visit novilbin.c/m for the L-test updates. Wanwan's not around, I gave all of them the day off, Lu Tingxiao said. Day off? Ningxi thought for a bit and realized that it might actually be good for Little Treasure to get involved himself, so she said, then the two of you help me out. Do you have aprons? I forgot to buy them when we were out shopping just now. We should have. From the pile of plastic bags, Lu Tingxiao took one bag out and opened it to reveal 3 aprons inside, all in the same color and pattern. 2 were large-sized, and 1 small. Huh? When did you buy these? Ningxi asked in surprise. The girl selling the crabs gave them to me for free. Okay. They really gave away all kinds of free stuff these days. Ningxi took the small apron and called Little Bun over. Little Treasure, come here, let me help you put this on. Little Treasure obligingly raised his short arms in great expectation. Ningxi helped him put it on, tied the apron strings at the back, and tooted, "Darling, you're so cute even in an apron." Saying that, she turned her head and saw that Lu Tingxiao had put the pink apron on over his casual suit. Unexpectedly, he still looked dazzlingly handsome. It also created an unexpectedly cute contrast. Ah, that's it. I can't help it, I need to take photos again. Ningxi ran off to grab her cell phone and started to take photos non-stop, from time to time giving little Bun things like tomatoes and ribs, anything that could be used as a prop to hold. Next to the cute little Bun was a cool big Bun, who should have looked a little out of place, but together, they looked incomparably loving. "Shall I take some of you?" Lu Tingxiao asked suddenly. "Huh? No need. You and Little Treasure together." Lu Tingxiao helped her put the apron on as he spoke. Little Treasure couldn't contain himself any longer, and flew over to Ningxi. Actually, Ningxi selfishly didn't want to leave too many traces and memories, but she was helpless to resist Little Treasure's expectant eyes. Forget it, what was the point of thinking so much? Enjoy the wine today, and leave the worries for tomorrow. The photos of Ningxi and Little Bun together looked a lot more natural, as Ningxi led Little Bun in doing plenty of funny gestures and movements. Like having Little Bun hold a bunch of lotus roots and posing as if he was releasing shockwaves with them, and Ningxi acting as if she was being blown away by it. In the end, they had so much fun they forgot all cooking. Damn it, Lu Tingxiao, you can do everything. Why are you so good even at taking photos? The composition and the lighting, everything is too perfect. Ningxi was browsing through the photos on her phone, and was deeply amazed. She really wanted to use these as her phone wallpaper, but that wasn't possible. After all, Little Treasure's circumstances were very unusual, and she was usually very careful to not divulge any news related to him. If she had such a cute son, she definitely wouldn't be able to stop herself from posting pictures of him all day every day, until everyone unfriended her online. With 3 people working together, they were quick to finish preparing a full table of dishes. Fried pig's trotters with chili and salt, crayfish and special sauce, spicy crab, grilled lamb leg, pan-fried beef steak. Visit novilbin.c/m for the L-test updates. Most of them were main dishes, and more meat than vegetarian. For someone like Ningxi, who was always on a diet, this dinner was a major commitment. After all, Little Bun was still a little too skinny, and Lu Tingxiao also needed more nutrition since he was usually so tired from work. Looking at the table full of appealing and delicious dishes, Lu Tingxiao was surprised. "Now I believe what you said before." "About what?" "About becoming a chef." Ningxi laughed merrily. "You thought I was exaggerating. I'm a little out of practice, but years of experience don't lie." "Did you want to be a chef at first?" Lu Tingxiao didn't understand. Ningxi's smile faded. "Don't laugh when I tell you this, but it wasn't because I wanted to be a chef, I wanted to become someone's wife." Lu Tingxiao narrowed his eyes a little, and the slightest hint of ice came off him. To become someone's wife, what a touching sentence, but that someone wasn't him. "I was too naive back then, I thought the way to a man's heart was through his stomach." Who would have thought? At this point, Ningxi suddenly stopped, and glanced apprehensively at Little Treasure, who was staring at the soup pot attentively. She moved slightly closer to Lu Tingxiao, and continued in a low voice, "Who would have thought that I placed my hand too high? The true position is 3 inches below the belly button. I cooked for him for years, but Ning Xuelua only had to sleep with him for 1 night. Pathetic, right? He's the pathetic one, he will regret it." Lu Tingxiao comforted her as if he was stating a fact. Ningxi admitted that she really was comforted by his words, and laughed lightly. "Okay, today is such a happy day, let's not talk about things that'll spoil the mood. After the soup is done, all I need to do is to stir-fry some vegetables, and we're all set." Lu Tingxiao took a look at the vegetable basket. "We didn't get any vegetables." "We didn't?" Ningxi stared dumbly. "What about cauliflower? Carrots?" "None." So I actually only bought meat? How can we eat all this without greens?" It'll be too oily. We did get some eggplants as a gift, but it isn't enough for a dish. So far, they had 8 meat dishes and just 2 vegetable dishes, lotus slices and cane sugar and cold sweetened tomato slices. It's fine, I'll go over to Jingli's place and pick some. Huh? Second young master has this kind of thing? Ningxi was astonished. He has a greenhouse for vegetables at the back. Awesome! But I should be the one to go. You definitely don't know what to pick. Alright, then I'll watch the soup. Let little treasure take you, since the guards don't know who you are, Lu Tingxiao reminded her. Okay. Be right back. Because little Bun was with her, Ningxi was able to enter the greenhouse in the courtyard behind Lu Jingli's house without a hitch. The vegetables in the greenhouse were really amazing, they were rich and juicy, and much fresher than those at the market, since they were just harvested, after all. Lu Jingli, that guy, really knew how to eat well. As she carried a basket and plucked vegetables with little treasure, a series of sharp alarm sounds suddenly went off above their heads. Ningxi lifted her head. What's going on? Soon after that, there was a loud roar behind them. Ho! You little thief! You actually dare to steal this young master's vegetables. Little treasure. Ningxi. Lu Jingli was in pajamas, his hair was messy from having just woken up. He had a stupefied expression on his face as he looked at the two of them. Holding the basket, the corners of Ningxi's mouth twitched. You put an alarm system in your greenhouse. Second young master, was it necessary to go that far? Do you have gold buried here or something? Lu Jingli stared at her with bitter lament all over his face. Jerk! Of course it's necessary. Put down the carrots, green vegetables and cabbage you're holding right now. I grew each and every single one of them myself. I watered them, fertilized them, played them music and told them jokes every day. They are my babies. 100 times more precious than gold. Haven't you noticed how rich and juicy they are? They're not just normal vegetables. Can normal vegetables be this pretty? Ningxi. She thought that he grew them for eating. She never expected in a million years that apart from chasing girls, Lu Jingli would have such a weird hobby. Put them down right now. Or I'm going to be violent with you. Ningxi blinked. But I picked them already. How about I give you money for them? You dare to insult my little babies with money. Ningxi, I'll fight you. Lu Jingli rolled up his sleeves and ran at her. Ningxi had black lines on her head. She pulled little treasure after her. Run. The two of them ran away panting. When they were still some distance away from the main entrance, Ningxi shouted, Lu Tingxiao. Help! What is it? As soon as Lu Tingxiao came out of the house, Ningxi immediately pulled little treasure with her to hide behind him. Lu Jingli's face was full of accusation as he complained, Brother, do you care or not, your family's 2 brats actually stole vegetables from my vegetable patch. Lu Tingxiao, I told them to. Lu Jingli, as expected, behind bratty children was a bratty parent. You're too much. I don't care. Give my little babies back to me. Ningxi stuck her head out from behind Lu Tingxiao's back. But your little babies are all dead. And whose fault is that? What, I can't bury them and say a prayer for them? I think it's better if we just eat them. You cold-blooded woman. If I can't get my revenge, then we'll die together. Before Lu Jingli could reach Ningxi, his way was suddenly blocked by a handsome-looking robot. Little Treasure, who was controlling the robot, stared at him calmly, as if warning Lu Jingli not to bully his precious auntie. Lu Jingli beat his chest with his fist and stamped his foot. AI. Where is the justice? Little treasure, I'm your second uncle. Why are you helping an outsider? Seeing three brats and one robot about to get into a fight, Lu Tingxiao knitted his eyebrows helplessly. Nobody is fighting anyone. Jingli, come and eat with us. Hell no. But before Lu Jingli finished speaking, he suddenly smelled the aroma of delicious food. Brother, you gave the maids the day off, right? Who cooked? I did. Ningxi instantly raised her hand. Lu Jingli's face was full of disdain. You can cook? Is it edible? But when he walked into the dining room and saw the table full of delicious dishes, Lu Jingli was dumbfounded. Did you really cook all these? Ningxi quickly cooked up 3 dishes using the vegetables she had stolen from Lu Jingli's place. Having seen it with his own eyes, Lu Jingli had to believe it, but he still begrudged her for stealing his vegetables, and hummed haughtily. What era is it now, that you still believe that foolish nonsense about the way to a man's heart being through his stomach? 3 inches under the belly button is the main point, okay? Ningxi couldn't helping laughing. She and Lu Jingli were amazingly alike in their thinking and values. Nevertheless, the only person who could say she was stupid was herself. Visit novilbin.c/m for the L-test updates. Oh, is that so? Ningxi lifted an eyebrow meaningfully, then picked up some rice and rib and stuffed it into Lu Jingli's mouth. What did you put in my mouth? Poison. Lu Jingli was about to spit it out, but in a second, his face changed. Sheet. This is really good. What is it? Crispy on the outside, but it melted in my mouth when I bit into it. It's delicious. How can it be this yummy? You still think through the stomach is useless now? Ningxi crossed her arms and asked calmly. Lu Jingli nodded enthusiastically. It's useful, it's useful. I would definitely go home to eat every single day if I had a wife who is this good at cooking. At first he had felt sympathy for his brother, but now there was some merit to marrying Ningxi. Now do you still want to bury your little babies? Lu Jingli said earnestly, No, your pot is their perfect tomb. From now on, you can pick all the vegetables you want. As long as you let me join the dinner. Whoa, the crayfish so good, and the beef steak is great, too. What spices did you use? I've tasted good food from all over, and haven't eaten anything tastes this special. It's a closely guarded secret. How can I tell you the recipe? Hey, enough, slow down. The 3 of us were busy cooking until now, and we haven't had a single bite. Cough, excuse me, you guys sit. Eat up. No, wait. I need to take a picture and post it in my WeChat moments. It's so freaking tasty. Xiao Shishi, I really would never have been able to tell that you have such a talent. Lu Jingli took a few pictures as he spoke and posted in his WeChat moments with captions, Everyone! Let me tell you. My future sister-in-law cooks so well. I am seriously so jealous of my brother. What are you posting? Curious, Ningxi came closer to take a look. Lu Jingli immediately put his phone away. How can you invade someone else's privacy? Privacy my butt, you already posted it in your moments. I'll take a look myself. Ningxi took her phone out and opened WeChat since she had added Lu Jingli as a friend there anyway. In the end, she didn't find anything. F******. Lu Jingli, what on earth did you write that is so secretive? You actually set me as invisible. What do you care what I wrote? I'm free to write whatever I want. But I was the one who cooked the dishes in your pictures. While Ningxi and Lu Jingli squabbled like kids, Lu Tingxiao took a look at his phone without being noticed, then saw what Lu Jingli had posted, and the words future sister-in-law. No wonder he had set it up so that Ningxi couldn't see it. It had only been a few minutes since it was posted, and already so many people had commented. Mo Ling Tian, holy shit. I thought you weren't being serious last time, he really has a girlfriend? Looks like she has pretty good skills. I never thought Lu Tingxiao would be interested in the housewife type. Qin Mufeng, that's unexpected, she can actually cook? As someone who analyzes people professionally, I really can't tell that she's the housewife type at all. Master Lu, not bad. Madam Lu, ayaya, this girl is really not bad. Nowadays there are not many girls who can cook. Is that my good grandson Little Treasure's hand in the bottom right? It looks like he's gained weight. Good, good, good. And there were many other comments saying things like Lu Tingxiao being a lucky guy, and asking when was he going to introduce her to them, and when could they come over for free meals. By the way, Xiao Shi, your manager has been decided. Lu Jingli quickly changed the topic. As expected, Ningxi's attention was immediately diverted. Really? Who news tirise at n/vel/b/i/n.co. Hee, not telling you. Unless you promise to cook me another meal. Lu Jingli looked like he was happy to keep her guessing, and needed to get beaten up for it. Ningxi gave him a disdainful look before turning to Lu Tingxiao next to her. Lu Tingxiao, who is it? Lu Jingli gave his brother a meaningful look, but Lu Tingxiao didn't give him a single glance, and was unsympathetic to Lu Jingli's ploy when he answered, Lin Jiji. Lu Jingli. My poor little heart. Didn't your wife feed me just one rib? And even for that you needed to immediately take revenge. Hearing this, Ningxi was astonished. Lin Jiji? Who single-handedly made a plain nobody like Ling Manyun into an international movie star, that Lin Jiji. She's my manager? Lord Boss, don't tell me you opened the back door for me again? Isn't Lin Jiji managing Ling Manyun only, and not taking on any new artistes? Lu Jingli's heart was full of unspoken criticism. No kidding, of course he opened the back door. Because his brother had ordered him to, last night he had flown to H City and spent the whole night persuading her. Because Ling Manyun wants to retire, Lu Tingxiao said, as if it was just a coincidence. He didn't mention the fact that Lin Jiji was on leave and had refused to take on new artistes. Ningxi was a little alarmed. So the rumors are true, that Ling Manyun is retiring? Yes, she decided not too long ago. Lu Tingxiao nodded. Regret was written all over Ningxi's face. Then that's a real pity. At the peak of her career, she chose to get married and have kids, but she had the best chance of breaking Senior Song Lin's record of 12 awards to become the first actress to win every major acting award. An actress who would win all the major awards, that was also Ningxi's ultimate goal. After saying this, Ningxi. But everyone has different goals, it's not for other people to judge. So, Lin Jiji agreed to manage me? I heard that she's very strict. She did, but only if you pass the test she will set for you later. Only then can she decide on how to develop your training and image, Lu Tingxiao answered. Oh, okay, I will do my best. Hearing Lu Tingxiao mention that she still needed to take a test later, Ningxi conversely felt a little relieved. Nearby, Lu Jingli tooted as he listened to their conversation. It looked like his brother had already set his heart on Ningxi for life. Every time he helped her, he would rack his brains for an honorable and fair way of doing it. He didn't give her the slightest pressure, or make her feel indebted to him, he really was infatuated. Seeing how Ningxi was starting to trust his brother more with each passing day, he felt that the day he could call her his sister-in-law for real wasn't that far away anymore. Great, then he could eat good food all the time after that, he. At night, Little Treasure slept early after playing hard all day. It took Ningxi less than 5 minutes to put him to bed. Ningxi kissed the little guy on the forehead gently, then softly closed the door behind her. Lu Tingxiao was leaning on the banister outside the door, and looked up when he heard the door shut. Little Treasure's asleep? Yup, sound asleep. Thank you for today. It was nothing, I also had a good time. That was the first time that Little Treasure ate 2 bowls of rice. Lu Tingxiao looked gratified. Ningxi laughed. I must thank Little Treasure for his support. As long as I'm not busy, I'll definitely cook lots of good food for him to eat. Lu Tingxiao frowned, then refused, no. Why not? Ningxi didn't understand. Lu Tingxiao looked at her, and there was a lingering sense of melancholy about his appearance. If you feed him so well now, what am I going to do after you're gone? What am I going to do after you're gone? It sounded like any normal sentence, but the meaning behind it hit her heart hard like a heavy hammer. Ningxi hadn't slept well after hearing Lu Tingxiao's words last night. She had had weird dreams the whole night, even dreaming of that night when Zhu Xiangqing had drugged her. She dreamt that she had lost control and pushed Lu Tingxiao onto the bed, and the scene had continued to spiral completely out of control. Ah! Why would she have this kind of dream? Ningxi grabbed and pulled her hair, turning on the tap. She splashed her face with cold water. Cheer up, today was the first day at her new company. Just as she was leaving, Big Bun and Little Bun gave her encouragement. Lu Tingxiao, good luck. Little Treasure raised his tablet, fighting. The robot next to Little Bun let off fireworks, and also said in a mechanical voice, fighting. Thank you, thank you. Ningxi kissed Little Bun and bowed to Big Boss, but was unable to look him in the eye. Because in her dreams last night, she had almost assaulted him. Finally, she reached Glory World Entertainment. Standing in front of the grand, tall building, facing a whole new beginning, new opportunities, and new challenges, Ningxi's blood boiled in her chest and pumped her up. As she walked into the Glory World building, she only had one thought in her mind. No. Freaking mercy! This resplendent and magnificent decor, she didn't even need to think about it to know that this was that dumbass Lu Jingli's taste. Following Lu Jingli's instructions, Ningxi took the lift directly to the 17th floor, and made her way to the last office on the level. Come in, a woman inside said in a formal tone. After entering the room, Ningxi felt that her eyes had been purified. She had nearly been blinded by the decor earlier, while this office was mainly in black, white and gray hues, and was decorated in a very simple style. She saw a woman wearing black-framed glasses and a champagne-colored suit sitting at the desk. Hello, Sister Lin, I'm Ningxi, I've come to report for duty, LL new rise at N0V/LBI/.cm. Hello, Ningxi. From today onwards, I'm your manager, Lin Zhizhi. I think you already know that I wasn't taking on new artists, but now that Man Yun has decided to retire, the company needs to nurture a new person to succeed her, Lin Zhizhi explained simply. At the same time, her eyes swept her from head to toe like a searchlight. While it gave Ningxi a sense of pressure, it didn't make her feel uncomfortable. The girl in front of her was completely different to Ling Manyun, who was plain in appearance. At first glance, this girl was beautiful, and it was an extraordinary and unbridled beauty. This quality would undoubtedly be her selling point in the entertainment industry, but at the same time, it was also a double-edged sword. It would be easy to slap the label flower vase on her, and even easier to become entangled in messy gossip and sex scandals. Ningxi was a bit alarmed when she heard Lin Shixi's words. She was to be nurtured to succeed Ling Manyun? Wasn't this standard a bit too high? However, the more difficult it was, the more excited she became. Plus, this had been her goal all alone. Although the company will nurture you towards becoming her successor, let me be straight with you. The test period is 6 months. If you can't meet my expectations by then, you are out. You can stay in the company, but I won't be managing you anymore. Understood? Lin Shixi spoke coldly. Ningxi immediately nodded her head seriously. Understood. At this time, someone knocked on the door, and a chubby, amiable-looking girl walked in. This is the assistant I've arranged for you. Sister Shi, hello, I'm Hu Tao, you can call me Little Peach. The girl introduced herself timidly. Hello! Ningxi had a very nice first impression of her chubby little assistant. Flower vase is a term for someone who is just a pretty face. After introducing the assistant, Ling Zhizhi gave her a bunch of keys. This is the apartment that the company has arranged for you. Move in as soon as possible. Out of the corner of her eye, Ningxi glimpsed the small characters engraved on the key, Regal Riviera Hotel. God! Arranging for her, a newcomer in the company, to stay at Regal Riviera Hotel? The most expensive villa residences in B City was Platinum Palace, and the most expensive apartment building was Regal Riviera Hotel. Both were projects developed by the Lu Corporation. She remembered Ning Xuelua also lived in Regal Riviera Hotel. As expected, Glory World had deep pockets. Ning Shi looked a little troubled. Thank you, Sister Lin, but I might not be able to move in for the time being. Ling Zhizhi gave her a glance. Have a boyfriend? Seeing that Ling Zhizhi had misunderstood that she was living with a boyfriend, she hurriedly explained, No, not because of a boyfriend. I have to stay with friends for a while because of a particular matter. Once things are sorted out, I'll move in. I guarantee that it won't affect my work. Also, the place I'm staying at now has very good privacy. Ling Zhizhi did not ask any more questions after that, but she looked serious. As long as you are clear about it in your heart. I won't interfere too much in your private affairs, but I have one basic condition that you have to follow. At this stage, you're not allowed to date anyone. I don't have to explain the reasons for it, do I? Ling Manyun, whom she had nurtured as a newcomer, suddenly wanted to retire for a man. This had been quite a blow to her. The feeling of being abandoned by a teammate, after everything they had been through together, had left her very disheartened. Sister Lin, you don't have to worry on this point, right now, I'm only focused on doing well as an actress, Ningxi said in a determined tone. After Ling Zhizhi heard this, her expression remained bland, and she had nothing special to say. As soon as a woman encountered love, she would lose her head. Even if Ningxi vowed it to her 100 times now, it would still be useless. Next, Ling Zhizhi briefed her on the company's rules and regulations, and handed her a document. Today, Starlight Entertainment is holding a press conference with the main intention of announcing that they have blacklisted you. We are also going to hold a press conference on our end. It'll be at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. This is the procedure and matters that need attention, as well as questions that the reporters might ask at the press conference. Go back and read it carefully. Ningxi took the document. Sister Lin, don't worry. I'll try my best to do well. Though Ling Zhizhi always looked cold and seemed to be very strict, Ningxi didn't feel uncomfortable at all, and instead, actually felt extraordinarily safe. With the company arranging and settling everything behind the scenes, she only needed to focus her energy on acting well, which would be much easier to do now than before. Seeing the sincere gratitude and sure fighting spirit in the girl's eyes, the good feeling which Ling Zhizhi had about her increased even more. Forget it, she would give it a try for the time being. While Lu Jingli was usually not very reliable, at least his eye for people was good, and all the people he had scouted had all become well-known. You can leave. There are some other details which I'll slowly tell you about later. If there is anything that you don't understand, you can give me a call me anytime. LL new rise at N0V/LBI/cm. Okay, then see you later, Sister Lin. When Ningxi came to Glory World today, she had driven the black Audi which Lu Tingxiao had prepared for her. Her recent exposure was so high that it would be very troublesome if she was recognized on the subway. On the way back, Ningxi excitedly tried the auto-drive function, and after determining its position and navigation, the car began to drive itself automatically. She leaned back against the driver's seat and did whatever she wanted. As expected, it was so cool. Technology could really change lives. Starlight Entertainment's press conference should have ended by now. Ningxi picked up her cell phone to open Weibo and scroll through the reactions on the internet. After the press conference, netizens' anger had reached unprecedented heights. Starlight Entertainment did a splendid job. This kind of B*TCH really should be blacklisted. She's still so arrogant after her wrongdoing, are you kidding me? It's just a shame for the world, which had such a great script. Why are you all just scolding Ningxi? I hope someone stands up to hit her. I think Ningxi Elua is too soft-hearted, she should just file a case against her. Who the hell is the sponsor helping Ningxi do all this? Dox him. Not only that, if somebody stood up for Ningxi, everyone would rush to attack that person, making it so that no one dared to disagree. She had probably made Ningxi Elua desperate. It was obvious that she wanted to finish Ningxi off with one blow, and suppress her to the point that she would be unable to recover. As Ningxi refreshed the page, she realized something was wrong. Her Weibo account was suddenly going crazy with people mentioning her, and the comments were starting to pile up rapidly. What happened? The screen on her phone blacked out several times before Ningxi was finally able to open it with difficulty. Then she finally understood what was happening. Just now, Lu Jingli had posted a message on Weibo. Fancy little carp prince, welcome, classmate Ning Xiaoxi, to our Glory World family at Ningxi. Bloody hell! Top VL updates on n/o/v/lb/in.com. Ningxi couldn't stop staring wide-eyed at the message. She even thought she might have misread it. Lu Jingli, this guy, wasn't he a little too high profile? As soon as it was posted, all of Weibo exploded, and all the netizens came flocking in. F*******. What did I see? Ningxi that B***TCH actually joined Glory World Entertainment? I don't believe it, I don't believe it, I don't believe it. Someone must have hacked into my adorable little Carp's account. That must be it. That's right, that's right. In the industry, Glory World Entertainment is well known for its good reputation. There is no way they would sign Ningxi this despicable, shameless B***TCH. If this is true, then Glory World's reputation will be forever tarnished. I'll never watch anything starring Glory World artists ever again. I always thought well of Lu Jingli, I never thought that he would be the one helping her behind the scenes. That's so disappointing. They could sign anyone, why sign this kind of person? Just because she's beautiful? Sheet. Don't tell me Ningxi slept with my carp prince male god. No one stop me. I want to kill her. Ningxi facepalmed. She knew it would be like this. Did Lu Jingli, this guy, have to be this impatient? Why didn't he wait until after the press conference to announce it? This was just asking to be scolded on purpose. Seeing the furor of the crowd, which was even affecting other Glory World artists as online users started to scold and curse them on their Weibo accounts, Ningxi was wondering whether she should do something or not, when in the next second, she suddenly saw something that utterly dumbfounded her. What did she see? She actually saw that Lu Tingxiao's main account had forwarded Lu Jingli's Weibo post. Lu Tingxiao's main account was lifeless, full of generic things such as the corporation's anniversary, the setting up of new departments, the completion of important project collaborations, or professional economic theory that nobody could understand, but seemed awesome anyway. But Lu Tingxiao had a lot of fans. He was a male god, so even if he only updated after half a year, and it was all advertisements, there were still brainless fans who followed his account. Now, Lu Tingxiao, who was only concerned with big corporation news, had forwarded Lu Jingli's Weibo post, and had even typed a few words, "Welcome, Ningxi." This wasn't just something as simple as pandemonium anymore. Traffic on Weibo immediately surged. The system couldn't bear the load, and even crashed for several minutes before it could recover. Furthermore, online public opinion had been instantly and magically reversed. God! What did I see? I need to go to the washroom and eat 3 caddies of sheet to calm down. If it was just one, the account could have been hacked, but how can it be false if even Lu Tingxiao forwarded it? Glory World Entertainment really signed Ningxi. And even Lu Tingxiao has made a move. What is the world coming to? Explore Tati stories at no/l//bin.cm. Since Lu Tingxiao forwarded it, it means that he must know the truth, and even agrees with Glory World's decision. Lu Jingli's head might have been turned by sex, but there is no way Lu Tingxiao would be. So, something smells fishy. Yes, something is definitely fishy. Glory World might be about to do something big. Wait quietly for the reversal. I won't say anything, I'll wait quietly for the reversal. I firmly support my male god. I'm waiting for the truth. Trust my husband. In short, after Lu Tingxiao forwarded the post, public opinion, which had been one-sided before, had pulled back, and the netizens were starting to adopt a neutral stance, and finally beginning to come back to their senses. As Ningxi browsed Weibo, this progression of events made her gasp in amazement. As expected, when the big demon king made a move, it was an exceptional one. It was mainly because Lu Tingxiao's image was too perfect. Since taking over Lu Corporation, he had never made any wrong decisions. In the economic crisis 5 years ago, numerous companies declared bankruptcy, but the Lu Group not only remained standing, it even bucked the trend to climb to the top. He was basically like an oracle, and there was no one who wouldn't believe his words. In the meantime, in the living room downstairs at the Lu residence, Lu Jingli was holding his cell phone as he rolled around screaming on the sofa. F*******. The shit these bastards are spouting. What my head can be turned by sex, but you absolutely won't. This injustice is just too much. The one who has been swayed by sex is you. It's you. Ow, this is snow in midsummer. I've been wronged. I've been wronged more than Do-e. As he was howling, Ningxi came back. Second young master, I could hear you howling from far away. What are you going on about? Nothing. Lu Jingli instantly sat up. Even if he had been wronged, he couldn't say it. Lu Tingxiao, who hadn't spared Lu Jingli even a single glance as he rolled around hundreds of times, immediately raised his head from the book he was reading. You're back. Have you seen Ling Zhizhi? Ningxi nodded enthusiastically. Yes. Sister Ling is very nice, and completely the type I like. I feel safe when I see her cold and unhappy face. Lu Tingxiao. It sounded like everything went well, but why, when he heard it, did it make him feel insecure? With these words, Ningxi immediately stared at Lu Jingli. Second young master, you're also too impatient. Why did you announce that I signed with Glory World now? Lu Jingli gave her a sagacious look. Of course it was to increase your popularity. Look at how famous you are now, everyone is talking about you. Ningxi snorted and looked askance at him. If it wasn't for Lu Tingxiao coming to the rescue, we would both have been cursed out for being an adulterous couple, okay? When Lu Jingli heard this, he finally felt a little guilty, and quietly muttered, if they want to scold, let them. The truth will come out tomorrow anyway. He had expected that the netizens would be angry, but hadn't thought that their abuse would be so ugly, even thinking in that direction. Just now, his brother's face had turned green after reading those comments. Now you can post on Weibo announcing the press conference tomorrow, Lu Tingxiao reminded him. Oh, right, I'll do it now. After Ningxi posted on her Weibo account, Lu Jingli forwarded it, and not long after, so did Ling Zhizhi. At this moment, the screen of her cell phone flashed with an incoming call. The caller ID Jiang Mai. 1 caddy is equivalent to roughly 600 grams. Dou Yi is a character in the popular Chinese play Snow in Midsummer, who was wrongfully accused and then executed for a crime she did not commit. Hey, Jiang. Ning Xiao Shi. You actually signed with Glory World. Why didn't you discuss it with me? Did you see the email that I sent you or not? Jiang Mai roared down the line. Aren't you busy? I didn't want to disturb you. Anyway, what does it have to do with the email you sent me? Jiang Mai's voice was really too loud. Ningxi smiled at Lu Tingxiao awkwardly, and then took the phone with her upstairs. Behind her, Lu Jingli touched his chin, and gave his brother a meaningful look. Brother, it seems that someone wants to get in your way. That poor thing, to actually like the same woman as you. Fortunately, Xiao Shishi is not my type, TSK. Rivals in love were too scary. On the phone, Jiang Mai was about to die from all his anger. Until now you still haven't seen the email? I'm sorry, I forgot. Is it very important? I thought it was another spoof video or something. Jiang Mai took a deep breath, and said very slowly, you, now, at once, immediately, this very second, open your inbox and look at what I sent you. Don't hang up, open it right now. Okay. I'll take a look at it now. Ningxi turned on her computer resignedly, and found the email which Jiang Mai had sent to her. She then downloaded the attachment in the email. Explore Ta-Ti stories at no/l/bin.cm. It contained an image and an audio file. She opened the image first. It was a screen cap of a WeChat chat. Aya, my good grandson is too cute. Aya, my son is too handsome. Ting Xiao, who picked the clothes for you and little treasure? Was it the girl you like? Yes. I knew it, you would never choose this style. Look at how bright the color is, it looks so good. It's nothing like the dull clothes you wear all the time, and little treasure has to suffer the same dull style too. As expected, this house does need a woman. She also took these photos? Yes. Not bad. Damn, my future sister-in-law is unbelievable. She can actually make you wear this color, and you even let her take photos. I gave you some clothes in a similar color before, and you looked at me so scornfully. You even belittled my taste. Looking at the chat, she saw that it was Lu Tingxiao, the 2 Lu family elders, and Lu Jingli. Are you looking at it? Jiang Mai urged her. Yes. Ningxi nodded, a complicated expression on her face, and then clicked open the audio. After a few rustling sounds, Jiang Mai's voice came out. Uncle, what exactly are your intentions towards Ningxi? Then there was the sound of Lu Tingxiao's voice, towards Ningxi. Yes. Don't you think your attitude towards her is too strange and too intimate? Jiang Mai asked. Lu Tingxiao's tone was both languid and dangerous. I thought I was already obvious enough, but since you still don't understand. Listening up to this point, Ningxi's heart was suddenly in her throat, as if she could feel Jiang Mai's mood while he waited for Lu Tingxiao's reply. Lu Tingxiao, what would he say? She waited for 3 seconds, which felt like 3 centuries. Then Lu Tingxiao's voice finally sounded again. He said, understand? Ningxi was confused. What situation? Understand what? Just as Ningxi thought she had missed something and was about to replay the video, Jiang Mai's cold voice came through the phone. You don't need to listen to it again. You didn't hear wrong, he really did only say that one word. But before he said it, he kissed you in front of me. Wah, what? Ningxi was dazed. How come even I don't know about this? You were drunk that night, it was when the production crew had dinner to welcome me, Jiang Mai reminded her. Ningxi finally remembered. It was the night that she had walked into the wrong room, and Zhu Xiangqing had tried to take advantage of her. Later, Lu Tingxiao had personally walked her back to the production crew's room and told her to wait for him after she was done, and they would go back together. Much later, she had been so drunk when she saw Lu Tingxiao that she had no memory of what happened after that. At that time, Jiang Mai was next to her, so that was most likely when he and Lu Tingxiao had talked. Noticing that Ningxi hadn't said anything for a while, Jiang Mai, who hadn't been very hopeful to begin with, became even more downhearted. You still don't believe me, is that it? I know these are not really conclusive as proof. You can take the screenshot as Lu Tingxiao just placating his parents. And with the audio, I didn't even record the most crucial thing. You only have my word for it. After quite a long time, there was a sigh on the other end of the line. Jiang Mai, whether I believe it or not, it doesn't affect my decision to sign with Glory World. Even if he really had feelings for me, he would make a clear distinction between work and personal matters, and he wouldn't use his position against me. More than that, he would never force me. When Ningxi said this, Jiang Mai knew it was over. He had never thought that Ningxi would trust Lu Tingxiao to this extent, even though they had only known each other for a few months. Ningxi continued, Thank you, I know you're worried about me. There's going to be a press conference tomorrow, and I need to concentrate on preparing for the final battle. When this is over, we'll talk more. When this is over, you'll be in Lu Tingxiao's trap and won't be able to escape anymore. No, she was already in his trap right now. So what if he knew? He couldn't do anything. Anne. I don't just care about you. What right did he have to despise Lu Tingxiao's methods, when what he was doing was no more honorable? A deep sense of powerlessness came over Jiang Mai. All right, you're busy, I'll see you later. Bye. Ningxi hung up the phone. Suddenly, it felt like her body had been completely drained of strength. She threw herself feebly onto the bed, her expression blank as she stared unseeingly at the ceiling above her. She was still recovering from Jiang Mai's remark, he kissed you in front of me. It was probably because an actor had a better sense for framing scenes and picturing narratives, she could almost completely reconstruct the scenario of that time in her mind. Her heart beat faster and faster. Ningxi picked up her phone and quickly sent a WeChat message to Lu Tingxiao. Boss, I want to go through and memorize the plan for the press conference, so no need to call me for dinner tonight. It's enough for me to have some fruit. I ate too much meat last night, so just nice, I should lose weight smiley face. She tried hard to make it sound like nothing was wrong. With this, he shouldn't be able to tell, right? Explore Tati stories at no/l/bin.cm. Even though the thing she was best at was pretending, she had no confidence in front of Lu Tingxiao. Downstairs in the living room, Lu Tingxiao looked at the WeChat message that Ningxi had just sent him. He lifted his eyes slightly and looked in the direction of Ningxi's room with an indecipherable expression on his face. Lu Jingli quickly flew closer to sneak a peek, then showed a disappointed expression. Damn it, sister-in-law's not cooking tonight? I looked forward to it for nothing, sad. After saying this, something occurred to him and he put his arm around his brother's shoulder and said meaningfully, "Is Jiang Mai that kid feeling cornered? Were we too terrible in what we did this time?" Lu Tingxiao looked away, his face like a lake that had been stirred by a breeze, rippling but quickly becoming calm once again. He knew that sooner or later, this day would come and he had been waiting for it. Explore Tati stories at no/l/bin.cm. He had been walking on eggshells during this period, but had weathered it without mishap. This was already the best situation that he could have hoped for. The only thing he could do now was to wait. Looking at his brother's expression, Lu Jingli couldn't help worrying about him. His brother had almost used up his whole life's worth of endurance and restraint in the last few months. If something went wrong, he didn't dare imagine what he would be like then. Since meeting Ningxi, he had changed, and not just a little. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that it was a whole transformation. Lu Jingli really didn't want him to revert back to what he had been like before, or to become even scarier. He had decided he would go to the temple tomorrow to pray for his brother, and kneel for a longer period of time for him. Ningxi, who had said she wanted to memorize the plan, had been in bed for at least 2 hours. Her mind was completely empty, and was completely clear of any thoughts she might have. Whenever she encountered something extremely difficult to solve, she would relieve the pressure in such a way. When this way couldn't help, she could only choose a slightly more extreme method. But it had been a long time since she had been bothered by something to this extent. It was only when she saw on the wall clock that it was almost 10 o'clock that Ningxi got up and spent an hour memorizing the data that Lin Zhizhi had given her. Her knowledge of lines that actors used was solid, so this was quite easy for her to memorize. Only at this moment did she suddenly realize that Little Bun hadn't come looking for her the whole night, likely because Lu Tingxiao had explained to Little Treasure that she was busy. After memorizing the data, Ningxi was ready to check on Little Bun. At the door to Little Bun's room, Ningxi was sure he would be asleep already, so she straightaway opened the door quietly. But when it was open a crack, she saw that the warm yellow bedside lamp was on. She saw Little Bun leaning against the headboard, playing with a Rubik's Cube with fixed, single-minded focus. Lu Tingxiao was sitting on the edge of the bed, a hint of helplessness on his cold, hard face. "It's 10:54. In 6 minutes, it'll be 11 o'clock, said Lu Tingxiao. Meaning that it was already very late, it was time for bed. As if he hadn't heard him, Little Bun continued to turn the cube in his hands, assembling it within seconds so that the colors on each face matched, before shuffling it and reassembling it again, in a repetitive and tireless process. Lu Tingxiao picked up the fairy tale book which Ningxi had bought. It had a colorful drawing of a little rabbit and a wolf on the cover. Lu Tingxiao asked expressionlessly, "Which story do you want to listen to?" Little Bun finally lifted his head to look at him, but his eyes seemed somewhat disdainful. Lu Tingxiao pinched the skin between his eyebrows, then picked up the prince. Little Bun was dismissive. Lu Tingxiao picked up A Brief History of Time. Little Bun was still uninterested. Lu Tingxiao finally gave up. Looking at his watch, his face began to darken. "It's 11 o'clock. Noticing that Lu Tingxiao was about to lose his temper, Ningxi quickly coughed and knocked on the door. Little treasure darling, aren't you asleep yet? As soon as she said the words, little Bun, who had been as unmoving as a mountain on the bed, threw the Rubik's Cube away and ran towards her like a little tornado. He clung to her leg and tilted his little head back, his big, expressive eyes blinking up at her. Ningxi clutched at her chest, as if she had suffered a critical hit. Seeing that Ningxi had come, Lu Tingxiao looked relieved. Are you done? Well, I've almost memorized the whole thing. Ningxi nodded, carried little Bun to the bed, and tucked him in. Little Bun immediately stretched his hands to pick up the colorful fairy tale book which he had rejected, gesturing for her to read it. Continuing from where we stopped last night, asked Ningxi. Little Bun's little hands gripped the edge of the quilt and he nodded sweetly. Well then, today let's read A Polite Little White Rabbit. Ningxi cleared her throat and began to recite the story. On the hot summer day, the bird cried in the tree, hot, hot. The beautiful little white rabbit wearing a beautiful floral dress hummed a song while skipping over a bridge. It was on its way to pick mushrooms. While Ningxi read the story, Lu Tingxiao sat in a chair next to her, tilting his forehead and listening quietly to her soft, sweet voice. He seemed to understand why his son insisted on listening to such childish stories every night before bed. What mattered was not the story, but who was reading it. After less than 5 minutes of listening, little Bun became sleepy-eyed, and Ningxi patted his back. Very soon, the little boy was sleeping soundly. Sorry to trouble you, said Lu Tingxiao, thanking her. No trouble, replied Ningxi with an expression of mixed emotions. Lu Tingxiao, did you know? Actually, I used to really hate children. Hate? Ningxi nodded, but did not tell him the real reason. I just thought kids were very annoying. I wanted to hide every time I saw one. I never thought that I would come to like little Bun as much as I do. It's hard for me to express it, but I always feel some kind of special connection between us. It's probably fate, like in the stories. Lu Tingxiao looked at her deeply. There are no impossibilities in this world, only what you have yet to experience. Ningxi was slightly stunned and vaguely replied, probably. It's late, I'm going to have a bath. Boss, you should also sleep early. All right. Lu Tingxiao nodded and suddenly leaned towards her. Ningxi was startled and reared back subconsciously. Lu Tingxiao came so close that he was nearly cheek to cheek with her, but he just moved past her, kissed little Bun behind her, and quietly said, good night. Later that night, while Ningxi was half asleep, she felt like she had a dream. She dreamed that Lu Tingxiao was sitting on the edge of her bed, kissing her lips, and saying, good night, I love you. Well, another strange dream. Why did it feel so real even though it was just a dream? Meanwhile, at the Regal Riviera Hotel. Upstate from N0/V/LBN/.co/M. It was already late, but the lights were still bright in Ning Xuelua's apartment and the atmosphere was extremely oppressive. Chang Li and Cui Kaijing sat in a corner of the sofa, neither daring to make a sound. Since it had come to this, was she going to blame them again? Who could have expected Ningxi to sign on with Glory World Entertainment right after being driven out of Starlight? It would have been easy to deal with her if it were any other company. Those other companies would not have been able to promote the artiste who had been blacklisted by Starlight. But this was Glory World. In front of Glory World, Starlight Entertainment's ban was just a piece of worthless paper. Chang Li wanted to comfort Ning Xuelua, to tell her that Ningxi was so infamous, even Glory World wouldn't be able to do anything. However, she really didn't have the confidence to say anything. After all, this time even Lu Tingxiao had come out. Not only did they underestimate Ningxi, but they had underestimated her to a ridiculous degree. To them, the press conference being held by Glory World at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning was like a time bomb. Anything could happen. Starlight's press conference had only just ended, but Glory World's reaction was so fast that there could be no doubt it had been premeditated. At present, even their water army was unable to reverse public opinion. What people everywhere were waiting for was tomorrow's press conference. All of the city's media correspondents would probably attend. Irritated, Ning Xuelua paced through piles of smashed objects, looking like a caged beast. What exactly is Glory World's press conference supposed to be about? You haven't heard anything? Chang Li shook her head. We've tried all kinds of methods, but Ningxi's matter is probably only known by some members of Glory World's senior management team. No one else heard anything about it until they read Lu Jingli's Weibo message. We can't learn anything at all. What about Lin Jiji? Didn't she forward Ningxi's Weibo message? She must be her agent. She must know something. Chang Li noticed Ning Xueluo's obviously chaotic appearance, and sighed. Before, when Lin Jiji was also in charge of Ling Manyun, we fought and grabbed her role. How can we possibly learn anything from her? Ning Xuelua was infuriated. This doesn't work, neither does that. Do we have to just sit and wait until morning? Upstadt from n0/v/lbn/co/m. Chang Li would have liked to reply that there really was nothing they could do but sit and wait. Ning Xuelua downed the rest of the wine on the table, and a sharp light flashed through her eyes. That bumpkin! So what if she joins Glory World? So what if she has them backing her? Does she think she'll be able to rest easy after joining Glory World? Cui Kaijing hurriedly seized the opportunity to approach and say something nice. Yeah. Sister Xuelua, as long as she still has that stain, she'll be unable to lift her head before you all her life. Besides, there must be an inside story to her joining Glory World. We'll have plenty of chances to catch her doing wrong. With people like her, Glory World would also be incriminated by association sooner or later. The next morning, Pearl Hotel Banquet Hall. All the reporters and media correspondents were ready and anxiously waiting for the main attraction to show up. The entertainment industry hadn't had such big news for a long time. They felt that any selling point today could become a headline. In addition to the reporters on the scene, all the people who were following the matter with interest were sitting by a TV, waiting for the live telecast. At 9 o'clock, the people of Glory World took their seats one by one. In the middle sat Ningxi with Lin Jiji on her left and lawyer Chen Jing on her right. The director of the Public Relations Department, Liang Feixing, and Lu Jingli were also present. Just the lineup alone had already stunned numerous reporters. God! My dog eyes! Ningxi's agent is actually Lin Jiji. This is like covertly announcing that Ling Manyun's retirement is real. What does Glory World mean by arranging Lin Jiji to be Ningxi's agent? Do they want her to be Ling Manyun's successor? Why does the man on Ningxi's right look familiar? Isn't he that lawyer, Chen Jing, who handled that big economic case some time ago? Liang Feixing also appeared in person. So what if it's Liang Feixing? The general manager, Lu Jingli, is also sitting there. Okay. God! This lineup! How amazing! A lifetime series. Yeah. Which press conference for an artiste has ever had this kind of turnout? The first to speak was Lu Jingli. First, allow me to introduce you to the newest member of our Glory World, Ningxi. Ningxi stood, bowed to the media and the cameras, then sat back down. The photographers shot photos one after another. Today, Ningxi was wearing a black woman's suit with neutral makeup on, very suitable for formal occasions. Lu Jingli continued, next, the questions regarding our Ling Manyun that many netizens have asked will be answered by her agent, Miss Lin Jiji, one by one. If it had been before, anything about Lin Manyun would definitely be the focus of attention, but now it unexpectedly became a topic that everyone hoped would finish as soon as possible. Luckily, Lin Ziji's style had always been very efficient. She used a few words to simply announce Lin Manyun's marriage and her intention of focusing on her family in the future, which affirmed people's guesses that Ningxi was indeed being trained as Lin Manyun's successor. At that moment, a reporter spoke up, asking, "We only want to know why Glory World wants to sign an artiste with no morals, and even set her up as Lin Manyun's successor. Isn't Glory World afraid that doing so will ruin you?" Upstat from n0/v/lbn/.co/m. He was echoed by other reporters. "Aren't you ruining Glory World's good name? A single rotten apple can spoil the whole barrel. Have all your senior managers been bewitched by witchcraft? Glory World, I would like to see if you can explain this properly." Lu Jingli and Chen Jing eyed each other. "Now we will be hearing from Lawyer Chen. Please, keep quiet." Lawyer Chen? They had been wondering why a lawyer would be invited to this press conference, so they all curiously turned to Chen Jing. Chen Jing used his mouse to click something on the laptop screen before him, then everyone heard a voice through the speakers. "It wasn't Ningxi. Ningxi wasn't the one who bribed me. It was someone else who asked me to tamper with the prop. But I don't know who that person is. I received an anonymous email with all the instructions in it, and 10,000 yuan was deposited directly into my account. They said that I would receive another 10,000 after it was done." The voice paused and there was 3 seconds of silence, then the audience screamed. Lu Jingli's eyes became cold. "Keep silent, please." The reporters reined in their shock and breathed hard, staring. Then, the big screen behind Chen Jing lit up to display 2 images. One was of the IP address which sent the anonymous email. It was unexpectedly at the Regal Riviera Hotel where Ning Xuelua was staying. The other image was of the anonymous account which had been cracked. It belonged to Ning Xuelua's assistant, Cui Kaijing. At that moment, the shouting could no longer be suppressed. However, it wasn't over yet. Chen Jing next displayed Ning Xuelua's certificate of injury and her doctor's diagnosis report, proving that at the time of the incident, Ningxi had quickly pulled back her hand, withdrawing her strength almost immediately after realizing that something was amiss. As a result, Ning Xuelua had only sustained a very light skin injury and could have left the hospital that same day. Despite this, Ning Xuelua had remained in the hospital for several days, pretending to be very weak due to her serious injury and blood loss. After displaying the evidence, Chen Jing brought out a lawyer's letter and said that he had filed a formal complaint against Ning Xuelua for slandering Ningxi. Compared to Lu Jingli, who had the distasteful hobby of keeping others guessing, Chen Jing's quick and efficient presentation of evidence took only 3 minutes, leaving everyone on site confused and disoriented. It was like atomic bombs had been set off one after the other. Sitting beside him, Liang Feixing suddenly found that there was not much left for him to do, so he touched his nose and said, "Okay, let's move on to the question and answer session. You can ask anything you want." Reporters. What could they freaking ask? The dramatic reversal had been like a tornado. They had no idea what to ask. In fact, they had guessed from the start that Glory World might have been planning to clear Ningxi's reputation, and they even considered the possibility that Zhang Chang had been bribed to frame her. But no one could have guessed that the person who had bribed Zhang Chang was Ning Xuelua herself, or that this whole charade had been directed and acted out by Ning Xuelua from behind the scenes. Had Ning Xuelua been fooling those reporters who prided themselves on being righteous, together with all the enthusiastic netizens who had denounced Ningxi all this time? It was extremely difficult for them to accept this fact, but the irrefutable evidence was right in front of them and couldn't be denied. Finally, after a long time, one hand was weakly raised from within the crowd. Liang Feixing signaled for him to ask his questions. The reporter who had raised his hand stood up and looked at Chen Jing. I would like to ask the lawyer, how did you get this evidence? Is it legal? How can you prove its authenticity? Chen Jing glanced at the reporter and then spoke. I am here, that is enough to prove its authenticity. The reporter was speechless and unable to contradict him. After all, Chen Jing's authority and professionalism were well known, so his asking such a question was really just him embarrassing himself. The channels through which we acquired the evidence are also legal. The police have already been involved in this matter. Chen Jing's face as he said these words looked impartial and trustworthy. He didn't bat an eye. All the reporters nodded and no longer doubted the validity and authenticity of the evidence. Embarrassed, Ningxi tucked her hair behind one ear. She really admired big lawyer Chen. Sitting beside him, she felt extremely guilty. Okay? What legal means? The oral confession had been extorted through torture, and the evidence had been obtained through Lu Tingxiao's hacking. No wonder she'd felt a sense of déjà vu when she'd first met Chen. She finally understood that it was because Chen's work style was very similar to that of Lu Tingxiao's. Sure enough, birds of a feather flocked together. One after another, the reporters then broke out of their shock and came to their senses before competing to ask questions. Reporter, I want to ask General Manager Lu, why are you spending so much time and energy helping Ningxi? Do you have a special, private relationship with Ningxi as the rumors say? Lu Jingli touched his chin and thought, they certainly had a special relationship. Ningxi was his future sister-in-law. The relationship between Ningxi and me is, to put it briefly, like Bo Lu and a swift horse. As for why I am spending so much time and energy, it's because I believe in my eyes and ability to judge people. She is worth it. I will say this here today, in the future, you will realize that this is the greatest investment I have ever made, and Starlight will be sorry for losing Ningxi. Get the latest chapters on n/velbin.com. Bo Lu was a famous Chinese horse tamer. Lu Jingli gave a flawless, perfect answer. The journalists realized that they couldn't get what they wanted from Lu Jingli, so they moved on to Ningxi. Although Ningxi was the star of today's press conference, Glory World was providing her with watertight protection. She didn't need to personally deal with anything. Journalist, Ningxi, as far as anyone knows, you have a close relationship with Ningxi Luo. What is her motivation? Is there a misunderstanding between you two? Ningxi, this question, I think you are asking the wrong person. Journalist, the staff at your apartment said that you left it a few months ago. What do you have to say about that? Ningxi, nothing. It's my freedom to live wherever I want. Journalist, so where have you been staying for all this time? Can you tell us? Ningxi, at a friend's place. Journalist, does Jiang Mai know about your joining Glory World? It's said that you two have a good relationship as fellow cast members. Is he involved in this incident? Ningxi, he knows, yes, we are okay, and no, he doesn't. Journalist. Ningxi was really difficult to deal with, it was impossible to get any gossip out of her. The journalists were helpless, so they had to give up on the sensitive questions and asked about something else. To be able to join Glory World can be seen as a blessing in disguise. What are your thoughts on that? Ningxi, I plan to work hard and make more money for my boss, to thank him for his appreciation and prove him right. The journalists assumed the boss she mentioned was Lu Jingli, only Lu Jingli knew that she was talking about his brother. Tut tut, his brother would be so happy to hear that. Okay, this is the end of today's press conference. If you have further questions, you can make appointments for private interviews. From now on, Ningxi's manager, Ms. Ling Zhizhi, will be responsible for her public issues. Liang Feixiang stood up and ended the conference. The journalists couldn't get enough of it, Starlight's press conference had lasted 3 hours and accused Ningxi in various ways, but Glory World had exposed such explosive news in only 30 minutes. Who had the upper ground was clear to see. As the journalists were about to leave, Lu Jingli suddenly spoke up. Wait. What? More news? The journalists all turned around excitedly. Lu Jingli smiled nicely, as always, and kindly reminded them, haven't you all forgotten something? Forgot what? The journalists looked at each other, confused. Lu Jingli was still smiling, but there was no warmth in his eyes. Ningxi has been blamed by you all for so many days and was made to carry so many false accusations. None of you will say anything about that? That's not very polite, right? The journalists were all embarrassed and hurriedly competed to apologize to Ningxi, all while hating Ningxi Welua on the inside. Ningxi raised her eyebrows and thought that this funny little corp was pretty good at scaring people when he got serious. However, Lu Jingli returned to his usual self as soon as they were backstage and happily jumped up and down. Little Shishi, my dearest little Shishi. You have nothing scheduled for this afternoon, shall we eat at home tonight? I will buy materials, wash the vegetables, and clean up the dishes, all you need to do is cook. At once, Ningxi took back all of her previous thoughts and just wanted to kick this dummy's ass. Did he know how easily his words could be misunderstood? Liang Feixing was so shocked that he didn't even notice his glass had fallen over and the water splashed everywhere. He finally understood, no wonder the big boss himself had asked about Ningxi so late at night. Ningxi and Lu Jingli had that kind of relationship? In her mind, Ningxi beat Lu Jingli 100 times. Outwardly, her smile was so stiff that her face looked paralyzed. Young master, I can't tonight, I made plans with friends. I'll have to take a rain check. Then, in a natural manner, she turned to Liang Feixing, Ling Zhizhi, and said, Director Liang, Sister Ling, Lawyer Chen, if you're available, do join us. I once claimed to be a good cook and young master kept it in mind all this time. He is always asking me to cook for him to express my gratitude. I can't let him keep all the good stuff to himself. Thank you all so much for today. Thank you. After she finished, bowed deeply. Just like that, Ningxi was able to resolve all the embarrassing misunderstandings with just a few words. Ling Zhizhi nodded in appreciation and thought that this artiste was good at crisis management. She had also done well in the press conference, she was indeed a good investment. As for her relationship with Lu Jingli, it seemed easily to misunderstood, but there was obviously no chemistry between the two. They should just be very close friends. Regal Riviera Hotel, Ningxi Welua's apartment. Su Yan brought nutritious food on his early morning visit. After some sweet talk, Su Yan looked at the time and turned on the TV. On the screen, the Glory World Entertainment press conference had just started and Lu Jingli was introducing Ningxi as a new member of the company. Ningxi Welua hadn't slept at all, she had to put on a thick layer of makeup just to cover the dark circles under her eyes. She'd stayed awake to see the live broadcast, but didn't expect Su Yan's arrival. She didn't know what would happen, so she didn't want to watch it with Su Yan. Ningxi Welua clung to Su Yan's arm like a little girl. Brother Yan, what's so good about watching TV? Pay attention to me instead. Let's do something else. Su Yan patted her hand and continued to watch the screen attentively. Xu Welua, be quiet. Brother Yan, why do you care so much about Ningxi? Ningxi Welua pretended to be jealous of her. Don't you care? You don't want to know what the conference is about? Ningxi Welua choked. Of course I care about Xiaoxi. I just don't like that you're giving her all your attention. Okay, don't act like a child. Be quiet and watch with me. Su Yan was abnormally firm about it. Ning Xuelua gnashed her teeth and could only sit there like she was sitting on needles, watching the broadcast. Ling Zhizhi was explaining Ling Monyan's decision to retire from the entertainment industry, then a reporter stood up and asked why Glory World wanted to sign on Ning Shi. Visit N0VL/BEIN. For the best novel reading experience. Ning Xuelua's heart was in her throat. She wished the situation would descend into chaos and end poorly. Unfortunately, this was a Glory World event. Even if the journalists wanted to make a scene, they wouldn't be able to voice more than a few complaints. Ning Xuelua cautiously watched Su Yan's reaction, but realized that Su Yan's eyes never once left Ningxi, even though Ningxi didn't say a word throughout the whole process. Ning Xuelua suddenly felt danger approaching. At the same time, the lawyer clicked his mouse and a familiar voice started to play. It was Zhang Cheng's voice. Ning Xuelua's heart sped up and she comforted herself non-stop. Even with Zhang Cheng's testimony, Ning Shi would only be able to prove herself innocent. Nobody would find out that she, Ning Xuelua, was the one behind everything. What happened next, however, smashed her hopes one by one. The remote control dropped on the floor. Ning Xuelua's whole face was colorless and twisted. She thought the worst-case scenario would Ning Shi successfully proving herself innocent. She wouldn't have expected in a million years that Ning Shi would be able to find concrete evidence to expose herself. The sender of that anonymous email benefited from both sides? Blackmailed her for 8 million and then turned around and sold the evidence to Glory World right after? On the TV, a reporter was asking Ning Shi, as far as anyone knows, you have a close relationship with Ning Xuelua. What is her motivation? Is there a misunderstanding between you two? Ning Xuelua's fingers quivered and she quickly turned off the TV, threw away the remote control, and then tightly grasped Su Yan. Brother Yan, let me explain. Ning Xuelua felt Su Yan trembling all over after she hugged him, his tightened fists creaking, and his gentle face looked extremely pale and awful. She had never seen Su Yan like this before. Profound fear swallowed up Ning Xuelua's heart. She could only grasp Su Yan tighter and explain in a rush, Brother Yan, it wasn't me. It truly wasn't me. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't expect that Cui Kaijing would do such thing. Maybe she wanted to set me up because I called her name several times when I wasn't feeling well? Su Yan let her grasp him however she wanted, but he didn't move at all and his voice was without warmth as he spoke. If Cui Kaijing was framing you, then why would she ask Zhang Cheng to set up Ning Shi? What benefit could she get? Ning Xuelua's face froze and she spoke up again immediately. She wanted someone to be a scapegoat. She followed me everywhere and knew that Ning Shi treated me horribly in private, so if she put the blame on Ning Shi, I wouldn't suspect her at all. Even if I believe your far-fetched explanation, what about your injury? Su Yan continued asking. Ning Xuelua had managed to calm herself down a bit and explained as if she was the one who had suffered an injustice. I said from the beginning that I was fine. Daddy and Mummy were just too worried about me and asked me to stay in the hospital all that time. Brother Yan, you know that I was mentally and physically exhausted at that time and felt horrible. How could they blackmail me like that? Deep sorrow flashed across Su Yan's numb face. Xuelua, how can I continue to trust you? Ning Xuelua bawled her eyes out, grabbing his hand tightly and looking at him as if he was her only redemption. Brother Yan. Trust me. Please trust me. People must be criticizing me everywhere out there. If you don't trust me, how will I be able to move on? The people who don't know me, I don't care about them, but don't you know me? You think I would do something like this to Xiaoxi? Brother Yan, please, don't abandon me. Su Yan looked sluggish and absent-minded. He had no reaction. Ning Xuelua stared at him nervously. After half an hour, Su Yan finally took a deep breath and pushed her hand away, then staggered out the door. Ning Xuelua panicked. Brother Yan, where are you going? Don't follow me, I need some peace and quiet. The/W novel chapters are published on no/vel/bin.co/m. Bang, the door was shut. In the room, Ning Xuelua, like a piece of rotten clay, crashed to the floor like she had just been struck by a huge disaster, then swiftly called Changli. Su Yan tumbled downstairs and drove aimlessly on the busy streets. All he could think about was that day when Ning Shi had covered Ning Xuelua's wound and called out for help, and how he had rudely pushed her away. About how Ning Shi had been stubborn at the hospital, refusing to lower her head in front of the unfair accusations from Mr. and Mrs. Ning. About all those hurtful and accusatory words he had sent to her, word by word, sentence by sentence. After the incident, he hadn't considered for even a second to stand by Ning Shi's side and to listen to her explanation. He'd said himself that he would treat her like his own little sister even though they were no longer in a relationship, but he had been hurting her all this time. Xuelua had him, her loving parents, the company, and her fans. What about Ning Shi? She had been blamed by the whole world and bore everyone's accusations, bore all the injustice, all by herself. In the end, it was a complete stranger who had found her justice, not those who claimed to care for her. Through the car window, he could see Ning Shi answering the reporter's questions on the shopping mall's big LED screen with a serious face. I plan to work hard and make more money for my boss, to thank him for his appreciation and prove him right. He knew that she wasn't saying those things for show. She was being sincere. That's how she was. Those who showed her even just a bit of kindness would in turn be treated with all her heart. He thought that she was the one who had changed, but the truth was, it was him who was no longer the same. Like crazy, the image of Ning Shi walking out of the hospital gate all by herself kept repeating in his head. That helpless, lonely view of her back. His heart hurt like it was being twisted by a knife. At night, Vivi Bar. This wasn't a big bar, not in a good location either, but it was very tastefully decorated. All the industry people went there. It was private enough, so they could relax and have gatherings. When Ning Shi arrived at the box, Jiang Mai was already there, sitting on the sofa with his legs crossed. There were a few empty wine bottles on the coffee table. Ning Shi removed her mask and sunglasses. Hey, start it all by yourself? Jiang Mai made a disdainful sound. Didn't you quit drinking? What's the point of waiting for you? I would be drinking by myself anyways. Ning Shi shrugged. Okay, forget it, you go on. Ordered me some fresh juice yet? Order my ass. How can you find fresh juice in a bar? Jiang Mai stared at her impatiently. Then Ning Shi pressed the service button. A handsome young man came in and smiled. Miss, what can I get you? Ning Shi took out a big bill, put it in his pocket, and winked. Handsome, can you go buy me 2 bottles of juice? Stunned, the young man blushed and smiled. At your service. Jiang Mai opened his eyes so wide that his eyeballs looked like they were going to fall out. Ning Shi! Stop it, why do you flirt with all the good-looking guys? Ning Shi instantly gave him a kick. Screw you! When did I flirt? A dirty mind makes for dirty vision. Jiang Mai dusted the dirt off his pants. Don't talk about meaningless things. Get to the point. You started the meaningless talk first. Ning Shi gave him a contemptuous look and leaned on the back of the sofa, then let out a long sigh. She could no longer hide the exhaustion she had been suppressing all day, and released it all out from between her eyes. Jiang Mai had seen her like this before and asked awkwardly, Why are you so tired today? Didn't the press conference go well? Everything was arranged perfectly by a certain someone. It's all your fault. I'm tired mentally. Ning Shi was annoyed and quickly rolled up to look at him with a burning stare. Let me ask you something. That day, that day Lu Tingxiao really kissed me? Jiang Mai tossed back a drink. If I lied, I'll burn all my equipment and never play PC games ever again. Ningxi nodded. Okay, I trust you now. Such a deadly oath for him to make. Jiang Mai tried not to scream. You freaking tell me, how many times did I remind you? You never listened. Why haven't you died from stupidity? How long have we known each other and how long have you known Lu Tingxiao? Why don't you trust me? Looking at Jiang Mai's sad little face, Ningxi sighed. In fact, when I first met Lu Tingxiao, he said it. Said what? Jiang Mai got nervous. Ningxi gestured with her palms. Said he would marry me. Follow you stories at n/VELB/in.com. PFF, cough, 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 what did you say? Jiang Mai almost choked to death on his drink and coughed severely. Ningxi patted his back hard. I was more shocked than you are right now. Then? Jiang Mai asked in a rush. Then I asked why. It was totally unscientific. What did he say? He said that I saved Little Treasure and that he wanted to repay me by giving himself to me. WTF. Then what did you say? I said that I saved Little Treasure and then Little Treasure saved me back, so let's call it even, no need to repay me with anything, and then I ran away. Jiang Mai quickly stood up and paced in circles crazily around the room. I freaking want to strangle you. Lu Tingxiao wanted to take advantages from you from the beginning and even said it out straight, so why didn't you keep your distance? Ningxi raised her eyebrows. Come on, how can anyone reject anything in front of Little Treasure's innocent face? Plus, I always thought that Lu Tingxiao only said he wanted to marry me for Little Treasure's sake. I rejected him later and he didn't force me anymore, so what else could I do? Why would it be for Little Treasure's sake? That's so fake. And you're such a pig. Jiang Mai finally stopped walking in circles, looked at her, and said, let me put it this way, normally, in a hero saves beauty situation like this, if the beauty is not interested in the hero, she would say, thank you for helping me, I will work for you like a cow or a horse to repay you. So here's the question, what if the beauty is interested in the hero, what would she say? Ningxiao, please answer. Ningxi touched her jaw. The beauty would say, I will repay you with myself? So, now you understand the meaning of repay you with myself? It means I freaking like you, I'm keen and interested. Jiang Mai impatiently shouted next to her ear. Ningxi picked her ears, which had gone numb from his loud screaming. Sounds reasonable. Jiang Mai said, this is the freaking truth. Ningxi stood up and dusted off her butt, then grabbed Jiang Mai's shoulder, calmed him down, made him sit on the sofa, and said slowly, okay, since you asked me, let me also ask you something. Jiang Mai looked at her cautiously. What do you want to ask? I want to ask you, if you walked into a room and saw the person you like was drugged, wearing a transparent nightgown, and lying on a king-sized bed covered with rose petals, what would you do? Jiang Mai fell into a daze for 3 seconds and his ears started to burn up soon after. He pushed her away. Ningxiao, you have such a dirty mind. Screw you. Stop pretending to be so innocent and seriously answer your big mama's question. Why did you ask something like that? Jiang Mai tried to avoid her eyes, not wanting her to know that what she just said had been too graphic and that the only feeling he had was. You answer me first. Ningxi rushed him. Jiang Mai hesitated for a long while before finally saying in a blurry voice, Of course I'd go along with it. All normal men would do it, okay? Unless the man didn't like her in the first place. Ningxi looked at him with a half smile, having gotten her expected answer. Why are you looking at me like that? Am I wrong? Chiang Mai felt uncomfortable with her expression. You're right. Now can you tell me why you asked me that? Ningxi rested her jaw in her hand and said absent-mindedly, do you know what Lu Tingxiao did when he met with this situation? Chiang Mai's expression changed immediately. When Lu Tingxiao met with this situation? What do you mean? Ningxi explained the causes and effects briefly. Then Zhu Xiangqing tied me up and left me on Lu Tingxiao's bed. What? What did Lu Tingxiao do? Chiang Mai's voice changed out of nervousness. He didn't do anything. Ningxi recalled what happened that night. He comforted me and talked to me to distract me. He didn't cross the line even a little for the whole night, just quietly kept me company through the most difficult and helpless night of my entire life. Chiang Mai bit his lips hard after hearing that. He couldn't say a word. Ningxi stared at him. Why do you think Lu Tingxiao didn't do anything? Is he not a normal guy? Does he not like me? Chiang Mai tightened his fists. He likes you for sure. The way Lu Tingxiao had handled it didn't mean that he wasn't a real man, on the contrary, it proved that he was a man among men. If it had been himself, he couldn't promise that he would be able to do the same. Ningxi nodded. I wasn't sure at first and didn't dare to confirm, but now I'm sure that he likes me, too. So, there is a third possibility. That got Chiang Mai's attention instantly. What is it? LL new rise at N0V/LBI/.cm. It's not that I was stupid, it's that he is on a whole other level. I'm not surprised, nor do I regret having a crush on him at all. After she spoke, subtle compromises appeared in her foggy and cloudy eyes. Chiang Mai's voice shook and he could barely finish a full sentence. You have a crush on him? Ningxi smiled. Although I don't want to admit it and have been avoiding it for so long, it's the truth. Chiang Mai slammed his fist onto the coffee table, hard, and his red eyes exploded with jealousy. Ningxi! How much do you know about him? How much? You only see what's on the surface. You think Lu Tingxiao is really as gentle as he looks? Did you know that Jia Qingqing died in the wilderness? Do you know what happened to Chu Xiangqing? Did you know that he used the aviation aircraft to make artificial rain, just to stop your kissing scene? And the incident at my house, he is the one behind everything. Ningxi fell into a long silence, then said in a low voice, but, Chiang Mai, he never did anything to hurt me. If I get scared of him because of all that, keep my distance from him, and resent him, it's not fair to him. You can think of me as someone who doesn't know right from wrong or that I'm naive about life and death matters, but I only know that he treats me well. Very well. Nobody has ever treated me as well as he does. Well, that's all for this part, truckers. See you all in the next video.